drivers on their feet. As we've heard before, waiting 20 years for a Cup race. It's happening. The Cup Series is racing in Iowa. Side by side for the lead as Larson dives into 3 just in front of the 12 of Ryan Blaney. Still 2 by 2 for the lead. And a little contact there. Larson trying to come down. Blaney still had that right front fender there, and now Blaney will surge ahead.
You can already see how rough the racetrack is. 4-car, Barry got really loose on the exit of 2.
This is when it really gets challenging. 3 wide. There's really only 2 lanes of fresh pavement. So now with the 24 stuck in the middle, when we get to the bottom down here, can the 11 find that fresh pavement? He will. The 24 will lift and let the 11 in line.
3 wide behind him, though, for position.
Yeah, Brad is really struggling. Oh, Corey LaJoie has gone around.
He spins on lap 3. So Corey LaJoie around, bringing out the first caution. He was running 20th. 2 and 3 wide back here.
Wow. The 71, Zane Smith, looked like he was really loose on corner entry. The 7 was above him.
I think it was a 3-car, all-Spire car involved incident. The 77 got loose, caught the 71, who got the 7. That is not what the Spire Motorsports organization wants to see. It's nerve-wracking enough with all 3 cars on the racetrack.
See a battle for the lead going back a few laps ago. 5 trying to just use all the racetrack, and Blaney was there. That's what we talked about, though. Lap 5, you know, nobody was comfortable with their race cars. Everybody was guarding a little bit, afraid of what their cars, you know, how they were going to drive. The track is so slick. It is so hot outside, and you just don't know. First race here with this pavement, so much to learn.
Yeah, the repaves in turns 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 have built up the speed here as we see the temperature starting to climb now, also inside these cars. But Steve, I think that was one of the big questions, is why were we seeing something different in that practice? But you had mentioned the loads were so much more because they were going so much faster.
Yeah, even at the tire test, which was just a few weeks ago, there's Ryan Sparks, the crew chief for Corey LaJoie, waiting for pit road to open to assess the damage on the 7 car. So a few weeks ago, these teams came and tested, and the 20 right there, Adam Stevens, was one of those teams. They came, they had a lot of confidence when we came back this weekend. They're one of the cars that failed the right front tire. Well, the lap times were almost 1 second faster. So all the simulation, we talk a lot about simulation that the teams have and Goodyear has. That's all under the assumption of how fast they were 3 weeks ago. Well, you come back and you go 1 second faster, you can imagine how much higher those loads are, and that's really what happened, right? The math problem has a few just assumptions in it. Pace is one thing, and in this situation, the pace was assumed incorrect.
Spire Motorsports, not the start they were looking for in Iowa, as it was Corey LaJoie who ends up going around, tagging the outside wall and bringing out the first caution. NBC Sports coverage of NASCAR on USA is brought to you by Iowa Corn Growers. Bump Unleaded 88, grown by Iowa corn farmers. Credit One Bank, NASCAR American Express card. Toyota, let's go places. And by Progressive Insurance. Save when you bundle auto, home, and motorcycle insurance. Visit progressive.com. So 3 laps in and fighting for position. They're back in the 20th position as we bring out the first caution with Corey LaJoie. Up front, the battle was pretty heated early with Blaney and Larson. Let's listen in to Kyle Larson's radio.
Seems fine so far. Like, I'm sure he's just building into it, but I beat him pretty bad on entry. I don't know if he's guarding bumps or he's just guarding grip, but I can charge in harder than he can.
Yep, 10-4.
Getting ready for the restart. As it will be Larson on the outside, Blaney on the inside. Into the restart zone and back into the gas they go. Drag race into turn 1 and Larson harder into 1. Can he clear him? He does.
Well, that's exactly what Kyle was talking about right there in the radio communication, that he had so much more confidence, wasn't sure what was wrong with the 12 on entry, but he felt better with his car. Now the 4 moves into second, the 14 of Briscoe.
Chase Briscoe looking strong in practice on Friday and now running up in the second spot here. Stewart-Haas Racing announced they're closing down their doors, so you know that Chase Briscoe looking for the best runs he can as he's almost auditioning every race now. Josh Berry on the outside in the 4.
None of these cars ran the outside in practice on Friday. The track wasn't ready. It did not have rubber in it. The Xfinity race rubbered the racetrack up. So this is the first time that these cars have been there. Drivers are learning what the cars will do up there and what they won't.
I want to thank 2311 and specifically that 45 car, because with that hamburger scheme, I don't get it confused with any other car on the track. Makes it a little easier to pick out.
Josh Berry in that 4 car. As soon as he could get to the bottom, had been stuck on the top for most of this race. As soon as he had a hole to get to the bottom, Dave, he just drove down there.
You guys mentioned Chase Briscoe running in second place now in the 14. It's tough to have a deep bench when your organization has announced that it's closing, but that happened 3 weeks ago when SHR announced that. So the deep bench had to come into play this weekend because Richard Boswell had pneumonia and Mike Cook, the engineer, had to take over for things. So Boswell said it's the first time I've ever had a car at the track I was in charge of, and I wasn't there. Boswell is here now. Great job, Mike Cook. They got him a great starting spot, and Chase Briscoe's trying to win.
Briscoe a half a second behind Larson right now with Blaney closing in on his back bumper.
You know, Dave brings up a good point. You know, it's tough news for all those employees of SHR about the doors closing at the end, but I've been impressed. I know, you know, it's hard to hear that information, but here you have Briscoe running second under attack now from the 12 of Blaney. The 10 looked great in practice. The 4 of Josh Berry is running 6th. You know, this team, even with this adversity in front of them, are continuing to bring great race cars.
Yeah. Somebody that's not had a good start of this race, Brad Keselowski, started 5th. He is all the way back to 18th. He said he's chattering the rear tires. What that means is the rear tires are making no grip. He's way too loose. And he can feel him shaking across the racetrack. And when you're doing that, you cannot be aggressive with the race car. He is trying to keep pace without wrecking it.
He's got A.J. Allmendinger on the inside in the 16. And that's Denny Hamlin in the 11 just in front of him.
We mentioned SHR, 41 of Ryan Preece right behind those 2 cars. On board here with Ty Gibbs, the Monster Energy cam. Great look off the roof. Kind of just see the rhythm of this racetrack, the patience it requires. All the drivers really talked about just how fast the track felt. The new pavement, once the tires come in, Jeff, has so much grip that it just feels fast, the radius of the corners.
They said Dover fast, which is,
wow.
You know, Dover is, I think, much more than this racetrack, but this new asphalt, just so much grip.
Yeah, this one is 7/8 mile oval. A lot less banking in the turns compared to Dover, that 1 mile concrete oval.
You know, and Gibbs doing a really nice job, 86 points above the cut line in the playoffs. We talk about some of the biggest names kind of outside with Kyle Busch and Joey Logano. Ty Gibbs finding a little bit of that consistent comfort. We're starting to see getting to the finish, you know, understanding when to kind of give, when to take, as we see a good battle here between the 10, Noah Gragson, the 38, the blue and white car, Gilliland. There's that 2 who's in a backup car, Austin Cindric, making some moves through the field. He's up 11 spots since the start of the race.
And we talk about tires, right? Like, do they matter, do they not? Saw Corey LaJoie with the spin. Came in, put on tires. He has gained spots. So we heard a lot about new tires don't matter, but it seemed to help Corey LaJoie. Martin Truex is not having a good start to this race. He did not like his car at all in qualifying. Told me that it was the worst car he had driven in qualifying in a long time. Kim.
And despite that early incident by Corey LaJoie, he really liked the car on fire off, said it has good rotation with throttle. When they did it once over when he came down pit road, no damage to that race car. So let's watch Corey LaJoie move through the field with fresher tires.
Yeah, unfortunate on lap 4. Corey LaJoie got spun around and is trying to battle back. He was running in the 20th position before the spin. Now he's up to 25th.
And I like how it looked right there, Jeff. Really turned to the bottom. He either has a great race car or maybe fresher tires, those new front tires working.
Yeah, and he's past the 11 car. Denny Hamlin is going the wrong way. He is falling like a rock.
Surprising, too, for Denny Hamlin, who's so good on short tracks. Maybe you've missed something here at the start of this race.
I'll give you some advice. Don't count him out.
Yeah, exactly.
This racetrack is going to change a great deal. His
car's tires are all backwards.
It's really tight. It won't turn is what he's complaining about, and he's confused. It's like the tires are on backwards.
Right.
That's a hey, crew chief. I don't know what to tell you. It's horrible. But this racetrack is going to change a great deal as it rubbers up. So if your guy is running good right now, he might could later. And by the way, if your guy's running really well now, that doesn't mean he's going to later either, Dave.
I mean, Denny has fallen crazy to the back, started 10th, all the way back to 28th now, and the word he used was plowing. That's like the worst case of tight. The car will not turn when he wants it to in the corner, Marty.
Meanwhile, Dave, William Byron has fallen back 4 spots after starting 4th today. What's going on with the 24 car? Listen in.
Feels pretty good so far. I think the top is just dirty. Good. Let them make the mistakes. Be good defense here.
So the handling is not bad, Steve, but listen to what Rudy Fiegel said. Let them make the mistakes, play defense right now. How much of this early part of the race, Steve, for your driver is just kind of hanging on to what he can?
Well, that's absolutely, just manage it. It wasn't what Byron said that I cared about. It's how he said it. Nonchalant, feels pretty good, no panic. I've lost a couple spots. I think it was just dirty. I know he's only 26, but he acts like a mid-30-year-old driver with 500 starts. He's just so confident behind the wheel, so calm, so collected. And you see him now trying to work past the 8 of Kyle Busch.
William Byron, already 3 wins on the 2024 season. He's another driver. Definitely don't count him out early in this race. It's Kyle Larson still up front in Iowa. NASCAR Drive, that's your live race day companion. You can follow your favorite drivers with access to their in-car cameras, or you can choose from alternate camera angles and customize your streaming experience. Visit NASCAR.com/drive, or you can download the NASCAR mobile app. And the 51, Justin Haley.
Yeah,
one of the drivers doing well.
Not just well. I mean, we knew that Justin Haley's move to Rick Ware Racing was about performance. They said it. Rick Ware, I have had some conversations with this organization. They have better motors, better equipment, newer cars, more technology, trying to improve. They thought that Haley was going to be a big step in the right direction. It's taken a little bit, but 2 top 10s in the last 4 races, currently running inside the top 10 in 9th right now, Kim.
And when I talked with the team this morning, they said the hard part is what's coming easy to them, and that's making fast race cars. It's everything else, the execution. So that's what they're focusing on for the next 10 races, getting everything perfect. That's from the pit crew to the setup changes throughout a race. So right now they have the speed. It's about putting together full races, Marty.
Kim, top of the screen, yes, your eyes do not deceive you. That is Denny Hamlin going down a lap here, just 35 laps into the race at Iowa. Meanwhile, Alex Bowman, Brad Daugherty's dark horse pick for the day, started 33rd once everything cycled, actually took the green flag in 31st. He is up to 16th. He's gained 15 spots. Blake Harris told me earlier today, Steve, we've had the speed all year long. What we're doing better lately is finishing races. What an impressive first stint here for Alex Bowman.
Marty, there are some that disagree, but I think without a doubt this 48 will go to victory lane at some point this year. They run too good, too consistently. He's never been a flashy race team, you know, not go out and dominate and lead laps, but they know how to hang around and win these toss-up races.
He can surprise some people, and looking strong here today as he's moved from the back toward the middle of the pack and looking to break into the top 15. Martin Truex Jr. He is currently in the 24th position, and the announcement was made on Friday that he would be stepping away from full-time racing. Some people expected it. It's been over the last couple years that announcement was possible out there. Such incredible numbers for Martin Truex Jr. 2 times the Xfinity Series champion. He's won a Cup Series championship in 2017. His numbers are staggering, Hall of Fame numbers at that, but decided that it was time for a change. Doesn't want to put together the years of work that he has to do every single season to come out and race on a weekly basis.
How about it though, Jeff? He said, I heard the number 10 in 2025. We didn't get any real number till you put him on the spot. You got him committed to some races.
We put him on the couch. He relaxed. He's such a good race car driver and a good person. And you know, Kim, the thing about Martin is he can win this championship this year, like Rick just said. And it's rarely do drivers leave or athletes leave when they're at the top of the career, but Martin Truex Jr. can still get it done.
Absolutely, he'll go out on top, and you see his crew chief James Small right there. I talked to James this morning, wanted to get the vibe of the team and the shop now that the announcement is out there. Not surprised, they expected this, they knew it was coming, but James told me it was good to get it out of the way. He said this discussion has happened during this specific part of the season every year for the last few years, and it has been a significant distraction. So now that it's out in the open, he feels like they can focus just on racing. He told me the first goal, win a race, the second goal, win a championship and go out on top.
Lofty goals, but he can do it. And the reason we know that is because he's done it in the past.
You mentioned the 51 running well up inside the top 10. Another driver having a good run. 21 of Harrison Burton currently in the 15th position. And this team, I think, is looking for a little bit of a highlight, right? He's had 5 career top 10s. He had 1 this year at Talladega. It seems like they either are on the wrong end of the strategy or on the wrong end of a wreck. They haven't seemed to found anything to go their way. They definitely need more speed, but they haven't had a whole lot of luck to go with the lack of speed. Cars looking good so far this weekend, Dave.
Well, Steve, he's qualified 25th, so you wonder why that happened. When I talked to Jeremy Bollins, the crew chief, about that, he said, well, we kind of over-adjusted. You know, we had what we had in practice, thought we needed to go where we went, and it was too far. So coming back to the field now is not a huge surprise for Burton. He's up to 15th.
Another young driver that's having a good day and has had a lot of speed as of late. Really this whole year is Noah Gregson. We all saw him in practice on Friday. he was absolutely flying. He's one of the guys that would not surprise me to see win this race, and did not qualify well like a lot of guys didn't, but he has driven up to 17th. So recovering well from what they, you know, an underachieving qualifying session, but they still have a good race car.
Well, a good race car, and that's important because look what's happening. Kyle Larson has already lapped to the 30th place car, 25 laps to go. He has 2 seconds on Blaney, 10 seconds on Josh Berry in third. This 5 car is really putting a performance on, and you can see a little bit of the vice starting to tighten on the cars in front. They do not want to go a lap down.
I'm going to just point out the number of laps we've run now. 24 laps have been run. In practice on Friday, it was about that 20-lap mark when we started to see tire issues. Are these crew chiefs, teams, drivers right now saying, okay, are we still good? Anybody feeling vibrations out there?
Well, they're definitely concerned. I don't know if we see as many vibrations as just a tire failure. I think the slower pace in the sunshine has helped. These smart crew chiefs and engineers have made adjustments. But remember, it's easy to be a little conservative to start. But as the race goes, as the sun sets, when it's time to go, time to turn that wick up, how aggressive do you dare be with air pressure, and how much harder can the driver go?
Yeah, and as a driver, I'm nervous because if we have the tire failures like we had on Friday, I'm not going to get a warning. It's just going to fail. And so, yes, I'm nervous right now because you're flying around this racetrack. It's going to be a big hit. Speaking of tires, you know, a lot of conversation about tires aren't going to matter. They all run the same speed. Well, this 7 car got in that spin early. They came down pit road, put on 4 tires, and he has driven up to 19th. And we're not the only one noticing this. The crew chiefs on pit road, the drivers, everybody is noticing this drive toward the middle of the pack. And it's going to make you think, hey, are tires worth putting on where they came into this race thinking they didn't matter that much?
Saw inside the car 113 degrees now. The temperature for Corey LaJoie at speed here. Also looking in on Ryan Sparks. Again, we'll join that team.
Too tight here. Neutral in.
Here you go. That was Corey. Little too tight, little neutral in. Good feedback. As the 5 of Kyle Larson laps Corey's teammate. 77 of Carson Hocevar. A little bit of a moment here for the 5. Let's take a peek. Ooh, yeah. That wiggle real early.
And the 16 gets into the wall in turn 2, bringing out the caution for the 2nd time. Now, is this a tire failure for A.J. Allmendinger?
Well, there's contact and a flat right front. We'll have to see which came first, the tire or the contact. 2nd day in a row. Big hit yesterday for A.J. in the Xfinity car. I mean, a big, big hit. Seems like, I don't know, the shape of this track, when they have tire issues, the angle of the car into the wall is definitely not what you'd like to see. That's a good break for Carson Hocevar. I think he might be in the position for the free pass. Let's see, Jeff, tire first, maybe?
Way out of the line.
Yeah, fortunately,
yep,
he felt it, and he was up the racetrack, and, you know, fortunately, it failed where it did. It didn't fail in the middle of the corner, so it wasn't as big of an impact.
So let's just talk a little bit. Yesterday, the tires were kind of getting too hot, blistering, shaking, vibrating. What's happening here is because there's so much load, it's really called a belt failure. What that basically means is the tire has not enough air or too much camber for how much load. And what happens right there at the corner of the tire, it just bends and bends and bends and bends, kind of like a coat hanger. It finally bends too much that something inside the tire breaks, starts losing even more air, and then it finally gets too low that it just gives up and it goes flat. The problem with that is drivers sometimes, Jeff, to your fear, you don't usually get a lot of heads up. Like, luckily for him, he felt it at the end of the straightaway, but unlike a tire that shakes, you don't normally get laps of notice.
And Steve, you being my crew chief, you can make it where we never blow a tire. Like, you could put so much air in the tire and take all the camber out where it's never going to blow a tire and I'm going to run dead last. So it's easy to say we'll be conservative, but low air pressure and camber makes the car go faster. So it is a balancing act between making the car live, making the tires live, and making the car drive well. And that's the challenge that every one of these teams has ahead of them for today.
I love the looks on the crew chief. It brings me right back to just how much is going on. You know, I take for granted how much information we have up here. You kind of have to be down on the pit box, and they have all the screens and the computers. But, man, sometimes you can just get stuck in your own little world down there. They do such a good job of controlling the chaos. Let's see who does what with only 17 laps to go on the stage. Larson to pit road. I assume everyone on the lead lap will use this opportunity to get fresh tires. Marty?
Look at that gap Kyle Larson had coming to pit road. William Byron, his teammate, up to third, said the car was tight in the center, not too bad. And then Davey said the tires started to shake towards the end of that run, but it wasn't significant.
Chase Briscoe gives up 5th for 4 new, fresh Goodyear tires. Says when I pick up the throttle, the right rear just isn't in the track. They'll make adjustments for that.
Kyle Larson telling his team, I cut better than the others, just a little bit tight in traffic, but good in clean air as they put 4 fresh Goodyear tires on that machine of Kyle Larson. He is down and away.
Synchronization impressive for the 5 team as they win the race off of pit road. And you see the top 4 all holding their positions. A 2-tire stop for Corey LaJoie gains him quite a few spots coming off of pit road. It's a 16 right there of A.J. Allmendinger. Cuts the right front tire into the wall hard here in Iowa. Thanks for joining us for the first ever Cup race at Iowa Speedway. It's the Iowa Corn 350 powered by ethanol. 2 cautions already. Most recent for A.J. Allmendinger as he's getting ready to stack back up again and ready for the restart.
So you never want to go a lap down, but if you do, you want it to happen just like it just did for all of these cars that you just saw pass the pace car, because with only 14 laps to go in the stage, they're going to come back around, they're going to drop the green flag with 12 to go. So that gives them enough time to stay on racetrack and not get lapped. And then the caution will come out for the stage end, they'll all come down pit road, they'll be back on the lead lap and get 4 tires. So little things in racing matter, and when the caution comes out had a big advantage for all those guys that got lapped.
Steve, what about Suarez and Kozlowski both staying out? They did not come to pit road.
They did not come to pit road. I really think this is a race for a stage point. I think Brad Kozlowski, you know, he's won that race, he's in the playoffs, but he doesn't have a whole lot of playoff points, and there's an opportunity to win this stage and get another playoff point. Same for the 99. Remember, this risk for these front 2 is smaller because they have both won a race. So now it's about filling that bucket. Now back to Jeff's point about fresh tires on the 7. This is going to be the real test because they're going to have to try to hold off brand new tires. They actually may fire better than the stickers. This may work for the short 10-lap run. A lot's going to be learned here.
And a 2-tire stop for the 7. So we'll see if 2 tires work out well for Corey LaJoie. But again, as we mentioned, they did not come. Suarez and Kozlowski did not come to pit road this most recent caution. So they are on the same tires they started the race with.
Green.
For the 99 and the 6, it's this set of corners right here. Will their car turn and get away?
Good launch for Suarez. And a little wiggle there through the middle of 2. Here comes Kyle Larson.
I don't think they'll get stage points.
The answer is no. It didn't turn and get away. Kyle Larson just bullied his way through. And to your point, Jeff, this is not what we were seeing with tires, as we see 3 wide there.
3 wide
2
for
tires
Ford.
seems to be working good for LaJoie. I think he's the car down there in the bottom, if I'm not mistaken, that Iowa paint scheme.
On the inside there with Gainbridge, and riding along with Corey, the Chevrolet on board.
All right, so after that first corner, they seem to settle down a little bit on those older tires.
Maybe they just weren't clean. We saw that yesterday in the Xfinity Series race. Remember those hot tires? They just wouldn't go for a corner just because they weren't clean enough.
Under 10 to go now in stage 1 from Iowa. It's still 3 wide back here as Gibbs and that Monster Energy on board. Now a fight for the lead. Here comes Blaney again.
He rolled the top of 1 and 2 and jumped out on that quarter panel of the 5 car. Almost surprised him on corner exit. Good adjustments on the 12 car. Big slide.
And so Blaney's going to try to check out now as Larson will tuck in behind him. There's Joey Logano. Logano's so good on new racetracks. When you go to a track for the first time, Logano's won a couple of those already in the last couple years. Ryan Blaney out in front of this field, Kim. Oh, into the wall. Little hit there coming out of turn 4.
That was pretty big contact.
I think it was the 54 of Ty Gibbs. I believe Gibbs got into the wall coming out of 4. He continues at speed. Sorry about that, Kim.
No worries. Ryan Blaney, despite being out front, might have an issue with his cool suit. He was complaining about it. The team telling him, we need to do the right thing. The driver cooling switch, you need to shut it off. Give it about 30 seconds before you turn it back on for reset. And then remember your remote as well. So if he does have a cool suit failure, what does this mean for a driver under the hot conditions we have here at Iowa today?
Well, it's 90 degrees, Kim, and that is going to be tough. I mean, these guys are in great shape. They put a ton of work into training, but it's hard to train for heat. And this is not going to be a short race. And we go into the night, but the temperatures don't really come down that much. So he's going to be tested. There's no doubt.
This is the 54 riding along.
A bad angle, Jeff. Just kind of got a little too high.
Yeah, just up the racetrack some. And, you know, we've seen that you can get up the racetrack, but you know, you get too high and there's no grip.
Just a real quick update. We gave him so much credit for running so well. The 51 of Justin Haley, currently 30th. They had equipment interference on the pit stop, so a penalty for the 51 car for the Brick Rail Racing fans. That's what happened to your driver, the 51 on that last pit cycle.
And you see this 20 car, Christopher Bell, battling with Ty Gibbs. Remember, that's a backup car. He was one of those drivers that had a tire failure on Friday, a backup car, had to start in the back. Done a nice job of working himself up to get in some decent track position.
Currently running 19th. That's Christopher Bell trying to take the 18th spot away from Ty Gibbs.
At the bottom left-hand screen, Suarez, one of those drivers that stayed out. I said he wasn't going to get stage points. He's proven me wrong. He's hung in there well in 3rd.
Josh Berry trying to make the move around the 24 and a fight for the lead as Blaney up the racetrack, and here comes Larson once again. Side by side as they come back onto the front stretch with 2 laps to go in stage 1.
Well, Kyle Larson's in a big battle for the regular season championship. Remember, he missed that race at Charlotte, yet lost the lead and then took it back. So he's thinking not just a playoff point, but those 10 points towards that goal. And Blaney is definitely thinking some points. Remember, he has yet to win a race. Right, he's that guy that's currently on points.
Reigning series champion Ryan Blaney coming back to 1 to go in stage 1. Racing all over the track right now as you see the racing on the bottom of your screen. But a 3-car length lead for Blaney as he goes down the backstretch for the final time in this stage. Larson a final push. Doesn't look like he'll have enough time, and so Blaney is going to get the 2nd stage win of 2024 here. Larson was 2nd Fight for third is won by Daniel Suarez, William Byron fourth, Josh Berry fifth. So Suarez staying outworked, Brad Keselowski eighth. Corey LaJoie, how about after a spin early in this race, getting a top 10 finish in stage 1. You're watching the Iowa Corn 350, powered by ethanol. Ryan Blaney wins stage 1. Gorgeous early evening in the heartland here of Newton, Iowa, and Iowa Speedway, as you're going to notice quite a few cars are going to stay on the racetrack as pit road is open, but since the late caution, that's going to send a limited number onto pit road. Dave.
Brad Keselowski's one of those. You knew he wanted some fresh tires after staying out on that last restart. He said to his crew chief, help me on the short run with rear grip and on the long run with front grip, Kim.
As we've got cars making their way down this end of pit road, including Daniel Suarez. He said the car was good, just a little bit free. And then also we have Corey LaJoie making his stop there at the bottom. Feels really good, just a tick tight on throttle for that Chevrolet.
So we're seeing some of the cars come off of pit road and really looking forward to what's going to happen here. Marty and Kim are going to join the 20 and 7 teams to immerse us fans in the details of the race day happenings on the pit box, over the wall, and in the spotters stand. That will happen coming up in stage 2.
Back at Iowa Speedway, about to start stage 2, and I want to brag on this entire 20 team who I am hanging out with on top of their pit box, the very first stall here on pit road. We talked about how they went to a backup car, so what goes into the work in getting a backup car ready? Adam Stevens told me it took 8.5 extra hours to make that happen. Up to 12 guys working on the car to get it ready and just get it going. They worked until 10:30 at night here in the garage area Friday. They had a 45-minute drive to the hotel. They slept 4 hours. They were up at 4:30 in the morning. NASCAR let them in at 6 a.m. Saturday to finish the car. The car has not been on the track since Martin Truex Jr. raced it last year at Martinsville. And so far, all of these guys and the driver have gotten it up into the field, Kim.
Well, Marty, it's already been an action-packed day for Corey LaJoie. And as we look at his resume at Iowa Speedway, he's been quite the journeyman. Before he was full-time Cup Series racing, he did anything he could to be immersed in the sport. So here at Iowa Speedway, Corey LaJoie has played crew chief for Brody Kostecki in the ARCA Series, putting his driver on the pole. He is spotted for Brandon McReynolds. But maybe the most interesting thing you're seeing right there, he changed the tires for Hill Brothers Racing back in 2013. Corey also has an ARCA win here at Iowa Speedway. And speaking of wins, crew chief Ryan Sparks right next to me, he got his first National Series win right here at Iowa Speedway as an engineer for Austin Dillon in the Truck Series back in 2010.
We love it, Marty. And Kim, thank you guys for being a part of that. Christopher Bell is going to restart in 11th. We're going to listen in to his spotter, Stevie Reeves, on the restart.
1. Green flag. Rolling. At the line now. Bottom of 3. Bottom of 3. 1 outside. Bottom of 3. Bottom of 3. Bottom of 3. Bottom of 3. Barely. Back to 1 outside. 1 outside. 1 outside. 1 outside. Clear, clear.
Fight for the lead up front. Blaney on the inside. Larson powering by on the outside. He clears him as they go down the backstretch.
Saw a big wiggle back in the pack. I think that was Harrison Burton with a big tank slap off turn 2. Nice job of saving it. LaJoie and the 6 of Keselowski were happy that he saved it as well. They were kind of had front row seats. I love listening to Stevie Reeves, how calm he is on the radio. Right here, 3 wide on the bottom. I think that's the 42 of John Hunter.
Yep, contact, and around goes the 10 of Noah Gragson and keeps it straight, but the caution does come out.
Yeah, I would listen into the 10 radio here, but I'm not sure it'd be safe for TV.
Here. Just keep your head about you. You're all good.
Keep your head about you. Yep. Oh yeah, he's.
See Martin.
Yeah, I think they're all trying to find their spot in line here again, but.
So John Hunter Nemechek got into the 10 of Noah Gragson there.
NASCAR threw the caution because they thought it was going to be a wreck. I did too. I don't know how it wasn't a wreck.
But it split up super hard, so I don't know. But I should be all right.
That's conversation. Crew chief instantly, hey, you flat spot the tires, what happened? Here's going to be Noah's frustration. Look at John Hunter. They're already 2 lanes down. Now 10 does block, but then the 42 kind of enters so low and so shallow. He doesn't mean to get into him. He's loose. The 42's loose, but he still was the aggressor and caused the accident.
They were fighting for the 21st position.
Yeah, it's frustrating when you come off, you get a run on somebody and they just block you that badly down the back straightaway, and John Hunter's just like, hey, I'm gonna ship it in here, and this is the end result.
I could see that. To your point, if the 10 doesn't move down, then the 42 gets to his inside and he's kind of in a more proper line to enter the corner.
Now, you've been around this long enough to know they're not exactly rational thinkers in there with the helmets on.
Well, it's real simple. If I'm the crew chief of the 42, you blocked. And if I'm the crew chief of the 10, you wrecked me.
Exactly.
But what a save by Noah Gragson.
Yeah.
Able to get that thing going the right direction again.
So the interesting thing is, what do you do here? That's a big slide on tires. I don't know what the right call is. There's still a lot of laps left.
I mean, I'll be honest, where he's at now, 33rd in line, I think I would come in and take him off. This isn't like the old style where you have to glue lug nuts back on to put them back in. Other concerns, you clean them up, put them right back on later in the race. So I think I would want to look at them to make sure we haven't done something to hurt the tire.
Well, he's had such a fast car. I mean, we've seen speed out of the 10. This is a situation where it's very early in the race. There's still 268 laps to go in this race. We see the 20 team looking pretty relaxed. Doesn't seem like they're going to be making their way onto pit road anytime soon. Well, it's not too late to get in the game with NASCAR Fantasy Live. You can create an entry by picking 5 drivers plus a garage driver to compete. Fantasy Live lets you keep tabs of your lineup and make in-race adjustments to maximize your score. Visit NASCAR.com/fantasy. Well, it's up to 116 now for the driver of the 7, Corey LaJoie. Kyle Larson is on pit road. A little surprised here, and a lonely pit road for Kyle Larson. Kim.
And when I talked to crew chief Cliff Daniels this morning, he said they were laying everything out on the table in terms of strategy. He said, we didn't know what we were going to do until the race started. You're seeing it in action, in real time, electing to come down. But it does look like they have a tire issue on the right side. So maybe not a strategy call, just a tire issue for Kyle Larson.
Yeah, and I think the tire issue, looking at their radio, is that contact with the 12. I think he was afraid that he had rubbed the sidewall of one of the tires. I think it's the left rear they're talking about, so we'll have to see what it looks like after it comes off the car.
Larson, the only one to come down pit road. We didn't even see the 10 after this amazing save come down pit road.
At Iowa Speedway, after Kyle Larson was the lone car down pit road, didn't know if it was strategy or a tire issue, was in fact tires. Kyle Larson came on the radio, said his left felt very strange. They came down, changed tires. I checked in with the tire specialist. You're seeing the left rear. They said there were no problems they could see on the tire despite what Larson felt in the car.
It's funny, you know, I mean, you can see that right there, you see him going back and forth, and the Goodyear, the yellow part actually touches the tire. You know, you're so low on air. I know this doesn't look like a short track, but it's a short track. You're low on air, that he thought he had a tire going out, a flat tire. So better safe than sorry they caught him in the pit road.
William Byron will be on the inside this time for the restart with Ryan Blaney on the outside. Byron holding tough on the inside. Blaney just clearing him as we see Logano now working to the outside. Whoa!
Oh, Chase Elliott sideways off the corner.
And now in the middle of 3 wide, teammate Alex Bowman goes by him on the inside. And Bowman up the racetrack. Here comes Elliott once again. As we see, Logano was looking to the inside of Blaney, couldn't make that move. How about Chase Elliott regrouping now and forging ahead as he tries to get by the 48. Teammates 4 to 14, a little contact.
I tell you, the 4 of Josh Berry, he's been exceptionally aggressive. He's laid his door on several people and just kind of moved them out of the groove.
Very close to 3 wide there as Suarez was on the bottom. Berry was trying to take that lower line. So early in this run, watch Chase Elliott here in the 9.
Yeah, just trying to accelerate out of the corner, and this 3 wide battle, I mean, it's tight. Get down on these corners. That's just good racing there.
Good racing up front as Blaney and Logano now running 1 and 2.
Well, that car in second, Joey Logano, the car in fourth, the 8 of Kyle Busch. You know, I know the 12 hasn't won yet either, but he has a ton of points. Those 2 cars haven't won and entered below the cut line. So this is the types of run these 2 drivers need.
Surprising that two-time champions in this sport have yet to win in 2024, and we've heard Kyle Busch mention numerous times that he's not so worried about the playoffs as much as he is. He's got a win streak going that he has been able to win for so many years. Every year that he's been in Cup, that is in jeopardy if he can't find victory lane again. Battle for 6 on the top of your screen. Elliott has the spot. Josh Berry running a little lower line trying to take it away, and then you see the cluster down on the bottom. Kyle Larson getting passed by a few cars on the high side here.
He has Truex up there in the 3rd lane trying to make something happen. Larson does a nice job of rolling the bottom very patiently.
Harrison Burton on the outside of Larson now as he dives into 3.
You know what amazes me is we're now currently 8 laps into this green flag run, and we have Ryan Blaney in 1st, and I'll go all the way back to say Eric Jones in 30th is only 6 seconds behind. Right, the whole field is basically still on one straightaway. I know that sounds like something very trivial, but the level of competition from 1st to 30th is so close. That's why all those little things, the wave bys, the pit stops, the decisions, they all matter more than they've ever mattered because of the close competition.
Blaney a 3-car lead over Logano currently. And it's William Byron back in 3rd, Kyle Busch, Josh Berry in the top 5, Chase Elliott, Ross Chastain, Bowman on the top 10. Here again, Kyle Larson.
Oh boy.
Wow, that's tight.
He's doing a nice job. He's all the way up now inside the 7 of Corey LaJoie, who's running 18th. So, oh boy, man.
After concern about his tires, Larson comes to pit road, back out on track, now trying to work his way back toward the front.
Rick, I thought the story you told this morning about Kyle Larson, you went to Knoxville last night, you said he had to get to a transfer spot in his heat. 1st corner, like 10th to 5th, right? Yeah. The way he drives, it's consistent. He looked that way in the Indy car up in Indianapolis. He looks that way in the sprint car, looks that way in the stock car. He kind of only knows one speed, and it's fun to watch.
Well, he's definitely one of the best drivers in the world in whatever he gets behind. We saw that from the Indy 500 that he ran earlier in May as we're riding along on the Toyota onboard with Christopher Bell. Bell now has a mirror full, and maybe look out the side. Kyle Larson, the man on the move, continuing to go toward the front. Bell running in the 15th position, just passed by the 5. Bell going by the Hamburglar. Tyler Reddick.
Makes me hungry just saying it.
A little bit closer for the lead now as Logano has closed the gap to about a car length when they get through the turns.
This battle for the lead is important. You know, Joey Logano has talked about how their mile-and-a-half program is not where he wants it to be. This is where he feels they have got to get points. He's in a tight point battle. He's in a position where he may not make the playoffs, and that's hard to even imagine. So there's a lot of pressure on Logano and this tight team to get points and have a good day. So far, it started off good.
We've seen
Josh Berry trying to still get by that 24 of William Byron.
Well, I was going to mention Josh Berry. We've seen 2 tires now on a couple different cars. Josh Berry did take 2 tires at lap 73, which was the end of stage 1. So, you know, versus William Byron in front of him last on pit road at lap 54 for 4 tires.
And Steve, fuel, the issue here potentially, this is a 140 lap stage. So those cars that didn't come in, what number are we looking for when they'll have to come to pit road?
Well, everybody can run a little over 100. So the guys that were last on pit road at lap, 54, they probably need to come after yellows, probably 160, 165. They always seem to go a little further than they tell me they can. So I'll say 160, 165.
And Marty, how's it going on the 20 pit box?
Let's chat with Adam Stevens from the back of the field to 16th for Christopher Bell. We heard Christopher say he struggles on the early part of the run, Adam. Is that basically a product of having to go maybe a little more conservative than you would have liked after what happened in practice?
Like whatever balance we've come up with, taking off a little bit freer than we want. And the balance is swinging pretty tight now, so we're going to have to come up with a little bit better compromise. But we kind of at a bad spot with our camber and our air pressure trying to make it live, and it's hurting the short run.
There you go, Kim, and appreciate Adam talking to us under green here.
As we catch up with crew chief Brian Sparks. Brian, we've already seen you guys mix up the strategy in terms of 2 tires and 4. How much more can we see in terms of a variety of strategies?
Well, obviously we had that spin early on, so we had to do something different to get back up front. Corey's doing a nice job. Game Bridge, Chevrolet Camaro's really fast today. We're super pumped about that. We got a few tricks up our sleeve here. We'll probably save it to the end, though.
And Letart, not only does Ryan serve as crew chief, he's a dual-role competition director also for Spire Motorsports.
Yeah, Ryan Sparks was hired in when Spire decided to run their own charters. He did a really nice job growing that organization, calling good races for the 7. I want to go back to what Adam Stevens said. They showed up with what they thought would work. They failed the tire. They had to make adjustments. They did. And you kind of heard what he said. We're kind of in a box. Remember, you can adjust air pressure, but you can't really adjust camber. And that's what these teams have to go with. It's great that both of these crew chiefs would talk to us under green. The other thing to point out is that noise is real. So you see all these people in the pit box. The back 2 rows, they're normally sponsors, dignitaries, maybe some team executives. The front row, each team does it a little different. The 20 of Adam Stevens has a crew chief, his car chief, and an engineer. The 7 of Corey LaJoie has a couple engineers up front. They normally have an intercom system, so while it sounds very loud, they can press a different button and have a private channel that doesn't even go over the airwaves, like a closed circuit intercom that whole front row on the 7 could talk to one another while everyone has an assignment. The crew chief can focus at the task at hand, communicating with his driver. There you see the 20 on the top, right? You see the man with the helmet, Chris Sherwood. That's a car chief. He's ready to go in action if he needs to go over pit wall.
So again, Marty and Kim, a part of the 20 and 7 teams in the 2nd stage, which there are 102 laps still to go in stage 2. Kyle Larson, we mentioned aggressive. Well, aggressively into turn 3, and almost a moment here with the 99 of Daniel Suarez up the racetrack. Brace yourself for something fuel nominal. Yeah, that's right. Fuel nominal. Unleaded 88 is cheaper, cleaner, and greener than regular unleaded. Plus, it's grown by farmers. So pump it up with unleaded 88. See the 34 on pit road. They've already changed the right tires. The right front looked to be down on Michael McDowell's car when he came to pit road.
He was running in 8th position, so had a good race car, but tire went down. Fortunately, not big contact. Just a little scuff. See the right front's down.
Fortunately, the tire carcass stayed on it, so really no reason for a yellow. Didn't really put any debris out there for the rest of the teams.
Unfortunate for McDowell, as we mentioned, running up toward the front. Now McDowell will be at least a lap down as the battle for 6 continues to heat up. Ross Chastain just to the inside door of Kyle Busch. And Chastain makes the clear.
Jeff, we've been here all weekend, and I know what the drivers are talking about because they just look fast. I know that sounds silly because they're fast every week, but you would expect them to use more brake and have to slow the cars down to make these corners, but they just carry so much mid-corner speed.
You've had to change the mentality. You know, a lot of race car drivers that are running here today have run this racetrack, but it was without the repave, and it was a slick, big short track. And now you have a high grip, small mile-and-a-half type racetrack. It is completely different than what they had here in the past. And yes, it's been a change for teams, been a change for drivers. But Dave, it's been fun for us to watch.
Absolutely has been, Jeff. You remember that short run at the beginning of stage 2? This was Bubba Wallace radio as the caution came out.
Any feel, man? Yeah, it's loose. And full.
Did you get a feel? Yeah, loose and out of breath. But since then, loose has been fast on the subsequent restart. Bubba Wallace was 17th. He's worked his way up to 12th. Grimace is coming.
Like you said, he was out of breath. I mean, you could hear him. That shows you the workload. You know, he was loose around here. Won't be any fun at all.
What about where his hands are, Jeff? Holding the steering wheel.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people drive like that. I mean, everybody has a different driving style. There's no right or wrong way to do it. But you can see he's pretty steady on the wheel. No big movements. Car must be driving pretty decent. He's running 12th, make a good lap time.
Fight for the second spot coming up here between Byron and Logano.
Yeah, and Chase Elliott has run this duo down, running that second lane that you talked about, Jeff. You see the 9 purposely running 1 lane up. How about the 9 car? Got the win. Maybe a little off some drivers' radar, which is surprising where he is in the points. He's second in points. He hasn't run outside the top 20 yet this year. I mean, what an amazing, consistent year for the 9.
That win at Texas earlier this year got him into the playoffs.
Watch that 24 car. You know, these people talk a lot about these cars all being built from the same people, but they're not set up anywhere near the same. Watch the 24 as he goes into turn 1. Watch how big the bump is compared to the 22. They're coming down the front straightaway. As they approach turn 1, watch the back of the 24 car. Big bounce. That's a different setup in that car than the 22. Marty.
Jeff talking about the performance of Chase Elliott. I talked to Alan Gustafson about that earlier this week. He told me it's very reminiscent of our championship run. You guys are right. It's been a phenomenal season. Best ever on average for Chase Elliott so far through 16 races. And it's interesting, Steve. Alan told me this morning at the beginning of runs, he was going to ask Chase to take it easy, take care of his tires for about 10 laps. That's showing up in speed later in the runs as the battle for second goes on right in front of him. But an interesting comment from Alan Gustafson. That makes sense to you, Steve. Take care of the tires early. They'll take care of you later.
Yeah, Byron clears Logano. I totally agree with Alan. You know, so much experience on top of the pit box. What he's saying is if you go a little easy, just a little, and take care of that right front tire, maybe I can start a half a pound lower or a pound lower, or maybe have a quarter degree more camber. But if you're too stubborn, or you say you can't and you have to go, I believe you and I'm going to give you what you need. That's a perfect example of how a driver crew chief have to be in unison, because Alan asks Chase to do something, sets the car up a certain way, and I have 100% confidence that Chase is executing exactly what Alan asked for at the beginning of these runs.
Jim.
You know, we talked to Joey Logano on our Countdown to Green show about the fact that he's outside the playoff grid, and when I spoke with him this morning, he said, yes, they're uncomfortable points-wise, but they have had solid days. He feels like their speed is in the ballpark to consistently run top 5. We're seeing him here today. He's running third right now, just a little bit loose in and loose off, Marty.
Kyle Busch trying to hang into the top 10 right now. He's in the 9th position, and he admitted, hey, we found some speed this weekend. Remember, short tracks the last couple of years have been the big struggle for them, but the handling is starting to go away on the 8 car. Right here on corner exit, car's way too tight, Steve, and then on corner entry, it's way too free. In fact, Kyle said a moment ago, right here going into turn 1, we're about wrecking, we're so loose.
Yeah, there's a lot of content as well. Like right before you get to that new pavement, it's pretty rough in the rear of the car. Let's listen into the 8.
Go tell the 48 in case he hasn't recognized it. Everybody runs everybody like a f***ing asshole. So welcome to the club. Yeah, he'll be all right. He hasn't run up front in a while here, so you should worry about his own shit, not yours.
Getting a little testy.
So apparently, maybe Kyle Busch took advantage of the 48 a little bit. He's like, hey, that's just how it is.
I want to hear your translation. The apparently. Oh, we have a car slow in the middle of 3 and 4. The 71 looks like another right front tire flat.
This time Zane Smith, yes, part of the right front tire coming off there as he got onto pit road with the right front down for the 71 of Zane Smith.
So now remember, we talked earlier about pace. They're faster. They're running low 24-second laps in the sunshine. 24.1, 0.2-second laps. Now the leader's 23.9 second laps, even faster. We see a 23.90 on second. Shade starting to be in the middle of 3 and 4. I know 1 and 2's in the sun, but keep this in mind. Teams are either A, taking a layer of pressure out to make the cars drive better. Pace is picking up. This is going to be a crossroads in the next 100, 150 laps. Which team gambles too much? Which team maybe plays the safer hand and lets the race come to them?
Blaney with a 1.4 second advantage over William Byron. Chase Elliott has moved up to the 3rd position, and surprisingly, way down the field, all the way in 29th, is Denny Hamlin. Dave.
He's only 2 seconds ahead of Blaney on the top of your screen there, so he's getting ready to go down another lap. Listen to his recent radio.
Trying everything, Chris. Just keep getting the turn. Yeah, support. We're working in here too. Just keep up with it best you can.
Can't get it to turn. Earlier the team told me that the car felt to Denny like it was up out of the track. Let's go to Marty.
Dave, Kyle Busch couldn't stand it anymore. Way too free on entry. You saw that track bar adjustment for Kyle Busch. Too tight on exit. And Steve, I think this is going to open the floodgate. 75 to go here in the stage.
Yeah, we'll have to see. You know, the problem is, while, you know, I think tires are a bit of an advantage for handling, I'm not sure new tires are a whole lot faster than what they're currently on. We'll see if the teams react. I mean, I have them to be able to go at least another 20 laps, so we'll see if the crew chiefs counter. I'm not sure the 8's going to worry too many other crew chiefs near the front.
Well, the other issue with pitting early, we've already seen 2 tire failures. So why is there going to be a 3rd or a 4th? They haven't caused caution yet, but if someone blows the tire getting into the corner, they hit the wall, the caution comes out. Now you've pitted too early, you're multiple laps down.
We would work good together.
67 laps to go in stage 2 of the Iowa Corn 350, powered by ethanol. As we're seeing the 12 of Ryan Blaney close in on putting Denny Hamlin a lap down. Remember, Marty and Kim are a part of the 20 and 7 teams in this stage.
Denny Hamlin out of the groove.
And way up the racetrack, that's going to enable the 12 of Blaney to put him a lap down. And Denny Hamlin just continues to complain about the handling of that race car. It's been all good for Ryan Blaney up to this point. Ryan Blaney has 80 family members that are in attendance today here at Iowa Speedway. His mom Lisa grew up from about an hour from here, just south of Des Moines. As we see the 9 of Chase Elliott moving to the inside of William Byron. Chase Elliott takes that second spot away from Byron. Let's take a look at the Xfinity fastest lap, and it is Ryan Blaney. 23:51. That was on lap 69. And Steve, you mentioned things getting faster as the sun goes down. The track will cool off a bit.
And if you have to make a green flag pit stop, that's another concern. Remember, you put tires on under caution. You ride around for a couple laps. The air pressure builds because of the engine heat and the brake temperature. Crew chiefs are going to have to adjust under green flag. You leave pit road, you go down into turn 3 at full speed. So remember that whole take it easy on the 9 car. You can only take it so easy when you pit under green.
Kyle Larson. Yeah, I'm sorry. Kyle Larson up to 5th. So, you know, I still think tires matter. I know the leader, you know, they did not pit the top 5, top 4, but everybody with tires is getting to them. And I just think tires, especially in traffic, are an advantage.
Here's just a few laps ago, the 4 of Josh Berry gets into the 1 of Chastain just in front of Larson.
Yeah, Chastain almost really came down on him. It's like he got up to the wall and was loose or something and got down the racetrack, but that's just racing, man.
Here's Bell running 7th. Trying to take that spot away from Josh Berry. Marty.
Rick, a 63-lap run as Josh Berry tries to hang on there to the 6th position. Bell will get past him. By far the longest run on tires all day or all weekend long, really. So what's the 2014 thinking sitting in 3rd? Listen in.
Yeah, just let him know that we plan on running long. We don't want to be the guy that gets caught with a tire failure. P3 is the 9, 22 is always back there.
They have since gone around into the 3rd position. So, Steve, it's almost like a game of chicken. Who blinks first to come to pit road?
Yeah, and, you know, while I do think that Jeff brings up a good point that fresh tires have more grip in traffic, there's not enough raw speed that I would be on the long end of it. I completely agree with Reed Fugel. I would run this thing all the way to my fuel number. It's a catch-22. You don't want to be caught by the caution. You also don't want to be the caution. So I would encourage my driver that if something feels weird, we're inside the window, we're ready for you. But my goal is to run this as long as possible.
Alan Gustafson calling the shots for Chase Elliott. Refugel for William Byron. And that 5 continuing to march forward as Larson has moved up to the 4th spot now.
The 2 car just pitted. He was a lap down. He pitted. We'll kind of look at his times and see if new tires are quicker. He'll have clean air when he comes out on the racetrack. Just something that we're going to watch, and crew chiefs are going to watch that too. They're going to look at other cars to see if speed is there when you put new tires on.
Blaney, the slowest he got in turns 3 and 4 that last lap was 120 miles an hour. The slowest that he was in the turn. Now he's gone down 115 there. More contact on the track. Just a little bump there out of Ty Gibbs to the 99 of Suarez. Bowman has made his way up to the 8th spot. Bell in front of Logano for 5th.
I think you're about 10 or 12 laps away from the leaders probably needing fuel. Marty.
Yeah, you talked about Alex Bowman from 33rd up into the top 10, but Steve, he did radio to Blake Harris about 15, 20 laps ago, said, I have a vibration. I know you would like to stay out 10 to 12 more laps, but how long do you risk it when your driver says, I have a vibration?
Well, as a crew chief, you have to allow your driver to decide it. But if it's not getting worse, I mean, I think you have to run this thing out as far as you can. Remember, Kyle Larson didn't pit the lap 83, so he can go 30 laps further. And as fast as this 5 car is, I'm not coming right away. I'm going to try to trap as many cars a lap down as possible.
And we talked about tires. Do they matter? I told you the 2 of Austin Cindric hit pit road. He ran a 24.40 before he hit pit road. He just ran a 23.70. So new tires do indeed matter.
Chris Buescher about to go a lap down.
It's funny how drivers and crew chiefs disagree, because Jeff feels that lap times matter, but I wouldn't pit for him just because the size of the track. You know, it's not a 1.5 miles. It's only a 7/8 mile track. So unless you're the leader, you're probably going to end up 2 down after your pit stop, at least for a short period of time.
There's Buescher just in front of the 12 of Ryan Blaney. After such a great season a year ago, it's been Buescher who's still trying to figure out this season, and Brad Keselowski has been the one that has got to win. Bottom of the screen, you see Josh Berry still chasing down Logano.
You know, the other thing about Austin Cindric, you know, it goes back to our strategy, is that he was lapped. So he pitted early because he needs to run laps. He needs to go up 3 car.
Austin Dillon way up the racetrack.
He needs to put tires on and go faster to try to make lap time to the leader. So that's his strategy. Here, let's see what happened. LaJoie and Austin Dillon, little contact on corner entry. That's where we've seen a lot of contact today. Just everybody's fighting to get to that new asphalt.
And we'll bump back.
Yeah, not very happy, and understandably why. Jeff brings up a great point. You know, people in the lead lap are racing for position within the lap, but once you get a lap down, it's a different world. You're trying to get back to only 1 lap down, trying to dig yourself out of a hole.
Well, it's been a blistering pace. 14th time Blaney has led at least 100 laps in a race. Pit stops are starting, and the 1 of Ross Chastain has a right front tire going down. He was able to keep it off of the wall, but can he get all the way back to pit road? He looks like he's going to get there. Dave.
Meanwhile, Chase Briscoe is on pit road. He was complaining about a vibration for the last 20 laps or so, has been managing it the best he can. He finally gets his 4 fresh tires, Kim.
Corey LaJoie is going to make his way into the attention of his crew. He said he fired off tight, but freer on the back end of the run. That car just feels disconnected, he says, as he makes the long way down to his pit stall right in the corner of pit road as the crew goes to work. It is going to be a chassis adjustment, and they take tires, Marty.
Yeah, Kim, right front went down for Ross Chastain. He came down pit road. Let's see how bad that wall contact was. He said, interestingly, Kim, on the radio, about 30 laps before that, the car is finally turning the way I want it to turn.
As Martin Truex Jr. gets ready to make his stop. He is unhappy with that race car. He said he has to wait on the front end to grab. Also way too loose. They make a big chassis adjustment there. 4 fresh Goodyear tires. Sunoco fuel on the 19.
Green flag pit stop cycling through the 4 of Josh Berry now on pit road.
Did a nice job. We've talked about how difficult this pit road is to kind of enter. We saw Ross Chastain actually spin out of practice trying it. Ford did a nice job, Kim.
And that overstock 4 number for Josh Berry, he fired off 3, but then that track, he said, is building tighter, looking for 4 fresh Goodyear tires. They'll put fuel in it as well for Josh Berry.
19 of Martin Truex Jr. speeding. So he'll have to come back down pit road.
Leading section 1. Coming back.
And so he'll come back onto pit road now. Pass through penalty.
They told him he was speeding in section 1 so that he can make an adjustment to make sure he's not speeding through that section again, because that is the worst thing you can do, is get caught for speed and then come down pit road to serve the penalty and get caught speeding again.
Blaney's still up front, but now it's Chase Elliott that's putting the pressure on him. Driver still to come to pit road. Blaney, Elliott, Larson, Bell, Logano.
All right, bring it to us.
Oh,
way up the racetrack is the 5. Larson.
His tires look up though, don't they? I think he just got out of line.
That's what's hard to tell.
He missed pit road there if he was trying to come.
Yeah, I think his tires are up.
I agree with Jeff. I think he's just somehow either caught it and just got up into the gray. 12 of Blaney's on pit road. It'll be interesting to see where the 12 cycles versus the 24. Oh yeah, Jeff, the 5 just loose into the corner a little bit, and then a little help with the 11. Gave him a shot, and up the track he went. Kim.
Let's watch the stop of Ryan Blaney. Despite leading laps, that handling not to his liking. He said it's really loose in and tight on throttle as they take tires and fuel. Slight air pressure adjustment, Marty.
Tim, back-to-back leaders pitting on back-to-back laps. First Ryan Blaney and then Chase Elliott, who has been fantastic on these long runs. It is so good. If I can get a little bit of help at the beginning of the run, that would be wonderful. His teammate Alex Bowman also on pit road right now. And another car into the wall, Rick.
Yeah, another car into the wall. It looked like the 42.
Yeah, I think it was the 43.
Oh, 43, Eric Jones.
Trying to get down to pit lane. Does a nice job. Tire stays on. Everybody avoids him. A lot going on here.
This is why everybody's afraid to pit. You know, some people are going to blow tires. We've seen multiple tire failures, just no caution, Kim.
Yeah, and for Eric Jones, this team, when I talked to him this morning, did not think they had the pace. As we watch Kyle Larson making his stop, he said just a little bit loose. It's going to be 4 fresh Goodyear tires, and you see that chassis adjustment to help the condition of that race car on Kyle Larson's machine.
There, Eric Jones gets to his pit stall, and they're going to change that right front tire if they can get the jack underneath it. Kim.
And let's follow the stop of Joey Logano as they continue to have problems on that Eric Jones machine, trying to get the jack underneath the car. Finally are able to do it, get it lifted up so they can change tires. Joey Logano making his stop. Joey complaining to his team, telling loose in and off, but center is hurting me the most. It's the tight condition that we need to work on. Joey Logano taking tires, a slight adjustment, and fuel.
20 of Christopher Bell continues to run on the racetrack, getting really good mileage. This is further than I thought they could have gone.
Remember, this is the car that blew the tire in practice. So they have a tremendous amount of confidence that they made the adjustments they needed to keep from having another tire failure.
And he was on pit road on lap 54, so he's been on the track the longest on these tires.
That 9 versus 12 is for position. Remember, they've both pitted. So while they're currently not near the front, they're 13th and 14th. They know that'll be important, Dave.
Tyler Reddick told his crew, if I put the throttle to it in the center, it stays tight. I can't get off the corner well. So they'll adjust for that here. Give him 4 Goodyear tires and fuel.
As Bell continues to run. You see the 9 getting in front of the 12.
We're ready. Bring it to us.
All right, bring it to us. Sounds like the 20's coming to pit road. What you don't see in that bottom screen is the 24. He pitted about 10 laps early. To Jeff's point about tires mattering, that cycled him out in front of these 3 by just a couple seconds. So even though the advantage wasn't as big as some tracks, they still mattered. That short pitting did allow him to leap leapfrog the leaders as the 20 turns left. Does a nice job, Marty. Looks like no tires slidden down to pit road speed.
Boy, a green flag stop here at Iowa, Steve, and the first pit stall is really tough, but Christopher Bell executed it very well. I don't think anyone anticipated teams running a long day, but they have. Mike Hicks is the rear tire changer on this race team, one of the best in the garage area. We got Jake Holmes, the tire carrier, Blake Houston, the front changer, and Peyton Moore, the fueler. They leave pit road. Bell so good on those long runs. We'll see where he cycles out.
And that length of pit stop is purely because of how much fuel it needs. Remember, 13, 14 gallons is all you could get in by the time they're done changing tires. These cars hold 20. So because that 20 needed all 20 gallons or very close to it, you saw everybody done waiting on the fuel.
Look how much change of speed there as the caution has come out now. And the caution comes out. Want to let you know the 15, they had equipment interference. So Kaz Gralla, equipment interference on their pit stop. So a pit road penalty for them. But the caution coming out, we're looking at the 31 right now of Daniel Hemrick. Maybe some contact with the wall. Kyle Busch was scored a lap down. The highest car scored a lap down in 15th. We'll see if he's the one who'll get the free pass. Yeah, you see the right side of 31. Apparently got into the wall in turn 2.
I don't know. This one baffles me a little bit. These are the ones who used to make me scratch my head. We've seen some tires go down. Cars were able to get to pit road. We haven't seen a replay of what happened to the 31. We see the contact on the right side. Let's see what we see here.
He's already up the racetrack, out of the groove. Makes contact.
Bounces off and keeps going.
Yeah, you know, look, they've not thrown the caution for that through this entire cycle, but for some reason they did on that one.
Kyle Busch, Bell, Logano, Bowman, Briscoe, Gibbs, Chastain, all a lap down. Reddick, LaJoie, Dillon. They're going to be frustrated by this caution.
I believe Busch is going to get the free pass.
We'll also have to see who will be able to get the wave around. It's going to take a little bit. We know that the 6 is leading, but really what matters is Byron's probably not going to pit for 8th. So we really need to see what lap down cars are in front of William Byron. They will probably have the opportunity for the wave around. William Byron is about halfway back in the pack, so I think we're going to get a bunch of cars waving around here. It's going to have to cycle. First, we're going to see pit stops, though, for the cars who had yet to pit.
Top 7 will probably be coming down pit road here. We ride along on that Xfinity Mobile on board with Bubba Wallace. Dave.
Rick Keselowski found some speed in the top group, but he said, I still need some front grip for the long run. The free in that I was experiencing is tolerable. So Matt McCall and the crew will go to work on that. As for Bubba Wallace, top of your screen, in the Grimace car, the 23 was moving forward, but in a very loose condition. He said, fix that right here, and he pointed at the track where he was, and I'm good.
LaJoie might be the benefactor here, potentially, of that.
I think LaJoie and everybody in front of him, LaJoie, Reddick, Chastain, Gibbs, Briscoe, all are going to have the chance to wave around.
And Kim has the front row seats of everything going on with the 7 team, as does Marty with the 20. Sun beginning to set on this, the first Cup Series race from Iowa Speedway. It's the Iowa Corn 350, powered by ethanol. Well, at the track, Iowa corn growers are highlighting the new interactive Iowa Corn mobile education trailers. The 40-foot state-of-the-art mobile unit takes visitors on a multimedia journey showing how Iowa corn farmers conserve their land while growing corn that is used for food, feed, and the 4,000 other products made from, you guessed it, corn. Iowa corn growers are committed to unlock the potential of corn in a sustainable manner. Marty.
Rick, let's chat with Mike Hicks, some of the fastest hands in the garage area, also the rear tire changer for Christopher Bell. You guys have a unique pit stall here, Mike, the #1 pit stall on pit road. How does that make it difficult, especially for you, the rear changer?
Yeah, I mean, when you have this first stall here, especially at a track like today where we're having tire issues, you just you got to be ready all the time. You know, you got to make sure you got all your stuff prepped and ready, because you blow a tire going into 3, they're going to be on you really fast.
There you go, Mike Hicks. We're going to let him run. By the way, that caution did not come out at a good time for the 20 team. They ran long. They paid the price when the caution came out, and Adam Stevens was very upset.
That was the most ridiculous bullshit caution I've ever seen in my life. You had 17 guys blow tires, and you have one guy blow another tire, and you throw the caution. That's chicken.
I understand the frustration. I would see it the same way if they definitely, you know, hurt my car, and I don't completely disagree. I think there were other opportunities to throw a yellow. We saw flat tires. The only difference is that car made contact with the wall, so in the instantaneous decision, maybe they thought he needed assistance, but you know, hindsight being 2020, I have to agree with Adam Stevens. I don't think that deserved a yellow any more than the flat tires that we've seen.
47 of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. stayed out, which trapped a lot of people a lap down, and stays on the outside of the 24 of William Byron for the restart. Bowman, the last car on the lead lap, running 18th right now. Steve, what's the strategy for Ricky Stenhouse Jr. not coming to pit road?
I think he could run the next 22 laps.
Maybe.
Right now the strategy is not to wreck. With the 24, I think they thought they could make it all the way to the end of this stage on fuel, but now he's lost his track position.
Outside of 3 wide, Denny Hamlin. See Ross Chastain moving up to the inside of Hamlin.
I mean, all that chaos worked out well for Josh Berry. Second place.
Larson up front, Berry running second, Bubba Wallace is third, Chase Elliott fourth, and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. after staying out is holding on to fifth. Berry putting pressure on Larson as there's under 20 to go.
Bunch of those cars in the back of that pack that we're looking at right now, they're racing to be the first car lap down when the stage ends to try to get their lap back. It is fierce battling.
Ross Chastain is the first car scored a lap down, running 19th. Chastain, Priest, LaJoie, Harrison Burton, Reddick, Briscoe, Cindric, McDowell, all a lap down, fighting for that free pass. Larson still trying to hold off Berry. Kyle Larson has won the last 2 Father's Day races.
And at Denny Hamlin.
Yeah.
Resurgence there.
I don't know if it's a resurgence or a lotto ticket, but
yes,
they were on the right side of the strategy. You have to play everything. You said it earlier, Jeff, just because you're not good at the beginning, be patient.
Mentioned that one of Ross Chastain, scored a lap down, running in the 19th position right now. Trying to hang on to that first car scored a lap down so he can get the free pass. Goes by the 47 of Ricky Stenhouse Jr.
.38 and 17 right there, 2 wide. Todd Gilliland falls back to 9th. Buescher up to 8th. 2 cars we haven't talked about a whole lot today. They've kind of been stuck mid-pack. Here they are, cycled into the top 10.
And That caution came out. Definitely hurt some people, but it also helped some people.
Todd Gilliland right there in that white and blue car announced an extension with Front Row, so he will be, even though Micah McDowell is moving on and now he's leaving to go to Spire, McDowell in 38 will be returning to this organization.
Gilliland.
Sorry, yeah, Gilliland. Poor Todd, I'm trying to move him along.
Take a look at this restart. Again, the 47 didn't come to pit road, and then up the racetrack goes the 24 of Byron, making contact, shoving the 47 up the track.
His car just did not have the grip that he was expected it to have, and that was almost very costly to the 47 at Stenhouse. But look at the track position William Byron gave up with that. And that's hard. That track position's hard to get back.
Byron's fallen all the way back to 11th after that restart.
Watch him up front here. Come middle hard, middle hard. Follow the four to the middle hard, to the middle hard. Up middle hard. Clear up if you need it. Middle hard. Still there, bottom. Still there, bottom. Middle three, still on the bottom. Still on the bottom.
That was Freddie Kraft, spotter for Bubba Wallace, as the battle for second continues to heat up. Now, Chase Elliott looking to the inside of Josh Berry.
It's going to be very interesting when the last bit of sun sets and 1 and 2 goes in the shade, because it does seem as if the track's cooled. It's now over 10 degrees surface temperature, cooler than it was earlier. Certain cars have gotten better. I'm not sure it's affected the 5. He's been pretty good the whole time.
Josh Berry continues to be aggressive here on the short track, as he's been able to hold off Chase Elliott. Coming back into the picture, Ryan Blaney closing in on Elliott.
Josh Berry in that 4 car without a ride for next year. Crew chief is Rodney Childress, and they've both been vocal. They would love to go somewhere together. They like working with each other. They run pretty well. Interesting to see where they both end up.
Rare you get that combination, right? A championship crew chief with a younger or a rookie driver. Less starts, what I would say, but a huge ceiling for Berry. A bunch of opportunity.
Coming up on 8 laps remaining in stage 2. Those of you that have a fantasy lineup, make sure to check. Make sure your fantasy drivers, if you got somebody in the garage you need to put into your lineup.
Come on, man. Don't give them a hint.
You're saying that to Steve because I think Steve's doing fairly well?
Well, I'm doing pretty well, too.
My whole lineup's so good, I don't know who I want to take out.
Again, an eventful day for the 7. Corey LaJoie, as he has Harrison Burton working to the inside of him now. But very early on, 7 of LaJoie brought out her first caution. And now LaJoie has been able to come back and have a fairly good run, running 21st right now. Still trapped a lap down after some of the strategy that has played out here as of late.
You can see as this outside lane has started to work in, if you don't make that pass, you open yourself up to the guys lining up on you on the outside. You see the 8 of Kyle Busch trying to push the 7 to both try to get by Harrison Burton. Harrison's trying to race to the 47 because the 47 is struggling a little bit. Kim.
And as we see Kyle Larson running out front, the last set of tires they took off that race car, the right front showed cording, so you could see the threads of the tire, not only for Kyle Larson, also Ryan Blaney with right front tire cording on the last set that was taken off. So, Steve, if you are a crew chief, are you concerned that for the first time tonight we're seeing cording, and what possibly is causing that? Are they sliding the right front too much?
Well, Kim, anytime you see cording, you're a little bit concerned. The one thing I would say is that is almost an entire fuel run, so that would make me a little less concerned. We saw at other tracks where it happened very premature. That was almost a fuel run for all of those cars, so for that reason I feel a little bit better about it. I would just make sure my balance doesn't get tight, and if it does get tight, just make sure the driver's aware of it and try the best he can to not abuse that right front tire.
Now 3 laps to go, as Larson has about a 1.6 second lead over Josh Berry running in the 2nd spot. Berry made his Xfinity Series debut here at this racetrack in 2014, running for Junior Motorsports, where he finished 12th in that race.
Rick, it's fascinating to me as we see this battle between the 47 and the 2 in the 7, what all of those cars that were trapped the lap down when the 47 stayed out, what they choose to do. The 2 of Cindric, the 7 of LaJoie. Do they just stay out and try to take the wave around here? That'll be a big decision compared to what the leaders do. But at some point, you're going to have to gamble. You talk about it, Jeff. Once you get a lap down, it's your job to be a little more aggressive with strategy to try to get back on the lead lap.
Would any of the cars in front of them stay out? I mean, 20 laps is all we've had on these tires.
You know, my bingo card didn't have the 47 staying out, so I don't think they will, but I've been wrong more than I've been right today.
Through 3 and 4 for the final time in stage 2 for Kyle Larson. This is going to be his 8th stage win already this year. He leads the field in stage wins. Josh Berry second, Elliott third, Blaney fourth, Bubba Wallace in the top 5. Hamlin, Buscher, Gilliland, Kozlowski, and Haley rounding out the drivers that will receive stage points at the end of stage 2. It's been fun to ride along with the 20 and 7 team as, again, Marty and Kim right in the middle of all the action of things taking place with those teams. NBC Sports coverage of NASCAR on USA is brought to you by Pods. Save up to 25% now at pods.com. Liberty Mutual Insurance. Only pay for what you need. And by Iowa Corn Growers. Pump Unleaded 88. Grown by Iowa corn farmers. This crowd here has been waiting for years to see this. The best of the stock car racers come to Iowa Speedway. And they sold out in just a couple hours when tickets were made available. And so the crowd here, and what a beautiful day for racing too.
All right, so I sharpened my pencil, got my calculator out. Here's the situation. Most of the cars in the lead lap can make it from the last pit stop with only one more pit stop. Pitting here doesn't reduce a pit stop. You still have to pit one more time. What it would do is reduce the amount of fuel needed on that next pit stop. Remember, we saw pit stops be longer because they're waiting on fuel. So if I'm a leader, I'm pitting here, putting on a set of tires and putting some fuel in my car so my next pit stop can be faster. I'm playing the pit stop time game. For that reason, I would pit here.
And quite a few are coming to pit road, Marty.
Chase Elliott comes to pit road from third, Rick, top of your screen there. And it's interesting what he had to say. He said, it seems like as the sun goes down, my early run issues seem to go away. Remember, they're so good at the end of the runs. Alan Gustafson planning no real changes here on the 9, Kim.
solid day for Josh Berry in the middle of your screen. He said it felt okay. I need to turn better, though. Entry a little bit edgy. He does think he takes off better than those around him. 4 fresh Goodyear tires, Snowco fuel. As we watch the end of Larson stop there on the bottom, Kyle telling his crew, I'm a little too free. I can't lean on the right rear. I think the track's going to get freer, though. Cliff Daniels telling him they went to work on what they think he needs for this final stage as he loses 1 position on pit lane.
Yeah, two-tire stop for Keselowski, gains him 8 spots. Suarez 9 spots with a 2-tire stop. And what a behind-the-scenes view we have had here. We want to thank the 20 and the 7 teams for their access. And we'll see how Corey LaJoie and Christopher Bell do in the final stage. Join NASCAR's free rewards program and start earning points that turn into member-only rewards. You can earn points every time you check in for a race from either home or at the track. Trade them in for free tickets. There's exclusive gear, autographed merchandise, and one-of-a-kind race day experiences. Just visit NASCAR.com/fan-rewards. And let's check back in with the 7 team and Kim.
Well, Rick, everyone has an origin story on how they got into racing, and crew chief Ryan Sparks, it's the perfect day for his Father's Day. That's because Sparks has been around racing his entire life. His grandfather, Bob, raced at Bowman Gray. You're seeing Bob right there. And Ryan's father, Bobby, raced karts all over the Southeast. Now, Ryan tried his hand at driving, but decided to enroll instead at UNC Charlotte, getting his degree in mechanical engineering. He's passed on the tradition, though, of racing to his niece. In his free time, he crew chiefs for his niece in local short tracks around Charlotte. Marty, it's been so fun being embedded with this team. How about that 20?
Oh, it was fun to be up here in the 20 box as well, Kim. It was an eventful stage, too. They got to the lead. Caution came out at a bad time. They finally finished the last car on the lead lap. The issue all day long has been the early part of the run, and Christopher Bell wanted to know why.
Why is this thing so awful on stickers? A great question. I don't know.
Adam Stevens told him, listen, we may have to live with this the rest of the day. We're doing all we can, Jeff, to help out the car early in the run, but that long run speed is hard to walk away from as well. They're terrific.
Yeah, they have good speed. Love those inside looks. We're going to do that all year long, hopefully with one team every week, maybe 2.
Try to get through the field. As now we have Buscher, Keselowski, RFK, leading the field back to the green flag. Final stage underway, 132 laps to go in this race.
Big wiggle out of the 17. He collected it 3 wide behind him.
Comes Josh Berry on the inside in the 4. Keselowski's dropped all the way back to 4th after being on the front row.
Buscher staying out, trapped a lot of cars, still 1 lap down, so only 19 cars in the lead lap.
Big contact, the 5 into the wall, and around he goes. Got collected with the 11, and the caution comes back out. Aggressive racing there coming off of 4.
We're too bad.
And Larson was in the middle of 3 wide as he spins it around, see if he can get back. Suarez hit him on the right rear.
Well, like the
left rear.
Yeah, 99 car right there gets up the racetrack, gets into the left rear of the 5, and then he's just out of control along for the ride. Denny Hamlin, wrong place. See the 9, you saw it wiggle? He got loose, and when he got loose, he had to turn to the car to the right to keep from spinning out. That's where the contact came, right along with the 20 of Bell. Oh.
Bell got into the back of the 22.
That's how quick it happens. Bell couldn't even see the incident.
All right, Kim.
Well, before the incident, Kyle did say the car was trending loose. Kyle, though, coming on the radio, telling Cliff Daniels, the crew chief, that it is not driving straight, so they will have to look at the suspension of that machine.
Let's listen in on the 99 radio.
I'm not sure what I don't think it was my fault.
When you force the middle like that, that's the consequences sometimes.
Yeah, all good. Nothing to worry about there. Just reset. Let's keep moving forward.
Not running straight there for Larson, as the crew will take a look at that. Looking at the toe link, Steve?
Yeah, looking at the rear. Probably take a look at the front through the hood flap. Yeah, you see he's peeling up the hood flap. You can kind of take a look at that right front toe link and the upper suspension.
3 wide racing. The 99 of Suarez gets into the back of the 5. He goes into the 11 into the wall and brings out caution number 7 here at Iowa. In the final stage of racing here at Iowa Speedway, and the 7th caution has come out. It was for the 5 of Kyle Larson getting into the 11 and into the wall. Take a look a little further back in this one, Jeff.
So we heard the spotter say, from Frank Kimmel, say, hey, when you force it 3 wide, those things happen. Watch Larson right here. He sees an opening, he drives into it. Now they're tight 3 wide. Now the 99 gets loose, gets into the 5. So when you heard Suarez say, I don't think it was my fault, that's the whole picture. We first saw just the end of it, but this is the whole picture. And he's like, hey, I got put in a bad spot. I didn't know I was 3 wide. That's just good, hard racing, but Larson indeed being aggressive put himself in a tough situation. Look, not that he made a wrong call or a wrong move. That's just hard racing, but Suarez is like, hey, there's more to this picture than just what you see off turn 4.
It might have worked out if Suarez doesn't get loose and has to chase the car up the racetrack.
Of course.
The 11's good fortune of getting his track position went away now with damage.
Kim, what are they looking at on the 5?
Well, Kyle radioed in and said the back end feels wobbly, and Cliff, crew chief, said that's because it is. They think the toe link is bent. They don't think it's broken. They just think it is bent. So working on alleviating the issue for Kyle Larson, Dave.
Kim, Denny Hamlin, after all that contact, is coming back down pit road. They came down one time before. They judged that the right rear toe link was okay, but the right front is bent, just like you talked about. And so they told Denny, we can't fix that. You're going to have to adjust your steering. Guys, what is that like, and what's the driver going to experience with a bent right front toe link?
Well, it's definitely not going to drive as well. I mean, these cars are, you know, they spend hours lining these cars up, making sure everything is exactly where you want it to be. And then you go out here and you bang wheels and it gets damaged, so it's certainly going to hurt the performance.
But with the 5 cars of misfortune, that's opportunity for the rest of the field, because I believe the 5 had the car to beat. Now, there was a lot of racing still to happen, a lot of opportunity, but now you have Buescher, who stayed out on older tires, Barry, who's now the highest car on fresh tires, Gilliland, Keselowski, Suarez, Wallace, Elliott, Blaney. I mean, there's a lot more up in the air than there was a minute ago, because I thought the 5 had a very good chance of contending for this win.
Denny Hamlin coming off of pit road. Kim.
Well, Powerball is back as the official lottery game of NASCAR, and it wants to send you to NASCAR Championship Weekend for the chance to win $1 million. Now, the Iowa Lottery is hosting hundreds of Powerball players at this weekend's races, and even gave players the chance to win a ride in the pace car and meet some of the sport's top drivers in the VIP suite. Now, if you want to experience the thrill of NASCAR, check your local lottery and get entered into the NASCAR Powerball Playoff. Powerball, the official lottery game of NASCAR.
Okay, we didn't go through the process of being able to have a chance of being in the pace car because Jeff took us around the racetrack, but what an opportunity for fans to be able to do that, to experience a pace car ride at any of these tracks.
It's a great opportunity. I hope they last longer than you did, Rick.
I'll tell you,
One
Jeff,
lap.
you know you're retired, Jeff, right? You know you're retired. You don't have to try to set track record times every time you get into a pace car.
I was going 73.
73. Issues as far as working on the 5, there's too many men over the wall, so that just means they're coming back onto pit road, serve that penalty, but there's so much that needs to be done, try to get it to run straight again.
Well, yeah, they're going to actually hold them for a couple laps, because when you have too many men over pit wall while on the damaged vehicle policy, it's actually a couple lap penalty. By looking at the 5 car, he was going to have some issues anyway, but it is a 2-lap penalty.
Kim.
And the problems actually continue for Larson. We talked about the bent toe link, and he said his wheel's in an okay spot, but then when he went back on the racetrack, he said, it feels like I'm going to spin out. He thinks he maybe broke a brake line. Even said, I might not be able to stop it in the box. Obviously, he was able to stop it in the box, but brake line issue for Kyle Larson possibly as well.
May want to just take that one to the truck.
Yeah.
Work on next week.
No stranger to being up front at short tracks. It's Buescher who brings it back to the green flag with Josh Berry on the inside. And up the racetrack, Berry runs that 17 of Buescher.
I tell you, Berry's done that multiple times today, using all of the racetrack. Kind of slide job a little bit right there to get in front of Buescher. Now Buescher turning underneath him, a lot of contact.
Buescher had to check up because Berry came out of 4 a little bit slower.
Yeah, Buescher's going to give it right back to him. That's what Berry did to him in 1 and 2. Buescher got underneath him and said, all right, buddy, you're going to play that game. I'm going to play it too.
Corey LaJoie seemed like he was out of pace there as he was coming off of turn 2, and Berry is still being aggressive with Buescher.
Yeah, a lot of contact. These guys are going at it. Todd Gilliland back there doing Starting in front of me, Kyle Busch trying to work himself up.
Berry not letting up on Buescher. 121 to go at the line, 120. A lot of racing still to go here in Iowa. Kyle Busch to the inside. He tries to get by Gilliland. Berry making that low line work as he gets to the inside of the 17 again. He'll crowd him up the racetrack.
Yeah, let's see what happens over here. Again, overdrives the entry. He's going to slide up in front of Buescher. Buescher checks his entry speed up, trying to get back underneath. He's not going to be able to do it.
Berry gets past and back out front.
William Byron, that 24 car, had a lot of speed early. He had that bad restart, lost a lot of spots. Now racing Brad Keselowski for 4th place.
Byron all the way to the bottom. Keselowski running that second line. And these two chasing after Gilliland. With Berry up front, his best finish on a short track was Richmond, where he came in second. Are there any similarities to this track in Richmond?
Well, Rusty Wallace designed this racetrack, and one of the best ever in Richmond was Rusty Wallace. So imagine that. He made this track feel a lot like Richmond, but with this new asphalt, this track is so fast. It is shaped very similar, but the grip levels are different.
The other thing with Berry up front is look what it does to the playoff standings. Puts him into that 10th position as the leader. We already talked about Busch and Logano, but now Wallace joins them below the cut line and a chunk below. 30, 40, 48 points. So, you know, this would be, upset is a tough word, but it'd be a long shot. Berry was a long shot coming into the Vegas odds. While he is a great short track racer, this would be a big win for this SHR organization. Still 115 to go, but you see how much it upsets.
Yeah. Well, Buescher running second right now in this race. That would put him right on that cut line as well if Berry was able to hang on. Take a look here. There's that contact from Buescher.
That was fun racing. Those guys are going at it.
We mentioned Corey LaJoie was off pace just a bit. This was his first issue. And then it didn't end. Had another time when he tagged the wall there.
That's pretty good contact. Here he comes.
Byron in front of Buescher. William Byron. We'll see if he can reel in Josh Berry. It's 2 seconds now, the gap between first and second.
And look at the gaggle of cars on the bottom of the screen. There's been more three-wide racing here than any short track I have seen
yeah,
ever.
How about Alex Bowman? Steve, you made a prediction earlier. You thought Alex Bowman would be running well here. He's inside the top 10.
Yeah, it looks like there might even be a little damage on the hood of that car.
You mentioned gaggle. Bubba Wallace was in the middle of it. Now he's been blocked as Ross Chastain went down in front of him. Good on board giving us this shot from Christopher Bell. Bell currently running in the 16th spot. Everyone chasing Josh Berry here in Iowa. You're a part of history as you've been watching the inaugural Cup race at Iowa Speedway. It's the Iowa Corn 350 powered by ethanol. Still out front, Josh Berry has a 2.2-second lead over William Byron. Then back to Blaney, Elliott, and Buscher. Running in 15th right now is Christopher Bell. Want to take a look at the Toyota driver update for Bell. Was out front for 7 laps. Started at the back of the field because of a backup car. Once again, 3 wide. That's something that we have seen a lot here. And Steve, you mentioned probably more 3 wide racing than we've ever seen at short tracks.
Yeah, I started at the top of the show saying that they only paved 2 lanes. The drivers are proving me wrong because they found a spot for 3 cars. They're going to do a whole lap 3 wide. Still 3 wide, and the 45 does have fresh pavement to run on. Jeff, we kind of, you know, I don't know if it's advertised as such, but when you and I were out there on the pace car, I know it's progressive banking in the past, but I really believe just the second lane of fresh pavement felt like it had a little more banking, or at least a bigger radius. A combination of both made it seem like it was a little bit more forgiving on the tires.
I think so too. And also just on this size racetrack, when you do run the upper groove, the radius opens up in the corner, so you don't have to turn the steering wheel as much. You don't have to ask as much of the car and add that added grip to it. And this high lane has proven to be pretty useful today.
On board with Ty Gibbs. Been kind of quiet.
Yeah, not the pace you would expect.
All the way back at 30th, a lap down.
Look at his hands.
Entry, like it just plows and here's me clear as the corner.
When I said look at his hands, that's what I was referring to. He has tons of wheel in that car, just will not rotate. And that makes me nervous, Steve, for what?
Right tires?
Yes.
That right front tire.
Coming up on Corey LaJoie there on his outside.
It's such a dogfight back here. Gibbs running 30th. You can see it is so hard racing back there.
I tell you, we mentioned this driver earlier in the day was having a great run inside the top 10. Well, he was penalized for an equipment interference, basically a pit road penalty, all the way back at lap 54. He was running 8th, went all the way to the back. Well, look at the recovery. All the way back and back inside the top 10. That says a lot. You know, normally when we see cars like this 51, we talk about either a good qualifying effort or get a little bit lucky here or there. This is just a great recovery, Kim. It shows good speed, good calls on top of the pit box, and a nice job by Justin Haley getting him back in the game.
Yeah, and Steve, they've had a good car all day long from the drop of the green flag. Right now, Justin telling his team, I'm all good. I'm just riding, trying to manage my tires. Right now, the handling just neutral. He did tell him the last adjustments helped.
Well, another car that I think might be riding him is just a couple spots behind Haley, the one of Ross Chastain. Remember, he had a flat tire earlier in the race, currently 12th. Last on pit road, a lap 2:23. At the top of the show, I thought 106 to 108 laps. We had seen them go a little bit further than that, almost 110 or 112. He would have to go further yet. You know, he'd have to be right, you know, have to really stretch about 117 laps to get to the finish of this thing. So the question then is, you know, can he get enough yellows to stretch it, or are the just fresher tires going to pay off? It's going to be interesting to see. He's the leader of this, what I'll call Plan B, leader of the cars that came under the last caution.
Left side of your screen, you're seeing right now running order and the wins that these drivers have had this season. So the top 2 have not been to victory lane. Buscher hasn't as well. Logano, Haley, Busch all running in the top 10 right now and still winless, trying to fight their way into the playoffs. Suarez in that 7th spot. Again, he was involved in the contact with the 5.
And with 93 to go, we are inside our final fuel window. So any caution at this point, I think we bring everybody to pit road, because at least Sunoco fuel-wise, this will be the last time you would need to stop.
This run for Suarez is really important. You know, he's been very vocal about not running the way that he wants to run, and you know, being really upset and almost disgruntled. And he's like, look, we're working as hard as we can. We're nowhere near like we need to be. He won that race early in the year, so he's most likely in the playoffs, but not the pace that he's wanted. this is a confidence-building day where they can look back at each other and say, hey, we did a good job. Like, we came to a difficult racetrack, difficult situation, and we've run really well. And I think that's so important when a team is struggling. 17 in the wall. Caution.
Caution comes out. Chris Buescher into the wall. He was running 5th.
Right front is flat. I assume that is pre-wall contact. If it's following along.
We hit fairly hard, but there's a chance we caught that one where it's not done.
You see right here, remember, he had stayed out on the racetrack. His last pitted on lap 184. Wow. That was normally a right front. It just won't turn. That one, you saw it get loose.
I'm with you. It didn't look like the rest. It just went straight.
Marty?
Rick, this was important. A driver near the cut line, and Chris Graves, or Scott Graves, had just told him a moment ago. He said, we're going to come in about 20 laps. If it gets any tighter, let me know. Next lap, he was in the wall.
Well, you mentioned a tight race car. You're leaning on that right front even more.
Yeah, it's nerve-wracking, and you know, a lot of times when we have tire issues, and Steve mentioned it earlier, see the 5 car getting back on the racetrack. When the temperatures are coming down, pace is going to go up, and the track is completely shaded. I mean, there's no sun on it, so the track temp is way down. That means when you fire off on new tires, you're going to be really going fast and actually putting even more load into those tires. So with only just under 90 laps left, drivers and teams still have to be concerned about tires.
And if the 5 looks funny coming out of the garage, he made minimum speed off the damaged vehicle policy so he can go to the garage just to clean up what was happening with the 5. So now I think everyone's going to come to pit road purely because you have to have fuel at this point. Nobody can make it from their last pit stop. I was questioning if Chastain could. You know, maybe they could stay out from here, but I think that would be a long stretch. I think they've put themselves in a good position. It wouldn't shock me if maybe you saw 2 tires off somebody like Chastain if he needs less fuel than the rest of the field.
And here comes the field, Marty.
William Byron pits from 3rd, Rick. This pit crew's been fantastic this year. Let's see if they can get him a couple of spots here on pit road. He said, my center is better. I still need a little bit more help on exit. What could be the final stop of the day with 88 to go, Kim?
Defending champ Brian Blaney looking for his first win of the season. The call number 3, whatever that code is, needs a little help on the front end of that race car, and it is going to be 2 tires only is what code 3 means. 4 tire stop for Josh Berry. There was a discussion between he and Rodney Tiller on whether they should take 2 or 4. Rodney thinks if it goes green, 4 is the right call. Josh overall happy with the car, felt like he had more left there, was just trying to manage it.
A few drivers going with the 2-tire stop, and most beneficial, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. gaining 10 spots on pit road. The caution comes out for the 17 of Chris Buescher. 8 cautions already today here at Iowa Speedway. say early success for the first running of the Cup Series at Iowa Speedway. We still have a lot of racing to go, but definitely impressive 2 and 3 wide racing all around this track.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun, and the aggression is what surprised me. You know, with the speed, normally drivers can't be as aggressive, but they haven't worried about it here. We've seen a lot of door-to-door, a lot of rubbing. Obviously, teams trying to understand how to make your car drive good, how not to have tire issues. It's been a challenging weekend for the teams, and I love that. I think that's what makes racing great.
Well, the challenge is real. My fear with the new pavement was going to be no options. The drivers are going to be pinned on the white line. It's been anything but. We've seen the bottom, the middle. We've seen slow entries, turn to the bottom. You know, the artistic nature of a driver really showing his skill set is on display. They're running these corners different every time through.
Well, let's go down to DJ and Brad. And you guys chose 6 drivers before this race started as guys you thought might be able to win. How are your picks going?
Not so good. As it's not gone well for a few others as we get ready for the choose here, which will be interesting to see. Brad, this has been an exciting race. If you don't like this, I don't know what it's going to take.
Yeah, I have no idea. I tell you, though, DJ, that one guy I've kept a big eye on has been Justin Haley. I mean, he went all the way back to 34th. He's 9th right now. That race car is fast. Let's see what happens, though, with this choose.
Yeah, we'll see. The one I'm giving an eye on is the short track specialist, Josh Berry. Fast race car, very aggressive, and he's auditioning for a job.
Yeah. Will there be more tire issues? That's the question. But right now, we've got some cars up front that haven't been there all day. Let's see how they do.
And we just saw the 47 of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. slowed down, and the 4 didn't slow down enough, and he ran into the back of him right there as they're cleaning the tires. A little bit of damage to the front of the 4, not much.
Drivers.
Yeah, 47 slowed down just a little bit. Josh Berry wasn't paying attention, ran into the back of him.
Josh Berry on 4 tires, Chase Elliott on 4 tires. They're the first 2 on 4. Here it is. 47 checks up. Josh Berry. Sometimes, you know, under caution, you're looking in the mirror, you're swerving, you're not really focusing that much.
24 car was 6th. He gets a line of inside row 2. That's 6th to 3rd just with the choose. We'll see if it pays off.
84 to go in Iowa. Blaney, Logano back into the gas.
It already paid off for the 24.
Penske drivers side by side, Logano on the inside, Blaney on the outside, and surprisingly enough, they're the 2 Penske drivers who haven't been to victory lane in 2024.
Stenhouse in 3rd, great run for him.
Saw Logano get up the racetrack a little bit. Kind of slowed that outside lane down some.
Stenhouse Jr. holding on to 3rd. Haley in the 51, cutting right in front of the 6 of Keselowski. Now Keselowski trying to fight back. A little contact there from Bell, and into the wall goes Kyle Busch.
Kyle's struggling with his race car right now. It's not driving the way he needs it to.
Well, Jeff, you told us 270 laps ago that the drivers were scared on how these things drove on new tires. As now the 8's jumped the cushion. He's in the loose stuff.
Marty, what's happening with Kyle?
Kyle Busch just said, I think I have a tire going down. He had been extremely loose on both extremities, on entry and on exit, as the battle for the lead continues up front. Actually, the battle for second. But Kyle Busch says he thinks he might have a tire going down. Here he comes to pit road.
So Kyle Busch will make his way onto pit road, and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. moves up to 2nd. Logano has fallen all the way back to 4th. Dave.
Rick, when I talked to Stenhouse Jr.'s crew chief Mike Kelly this morning, he told me with the 3 wins here he had in the Xfinity Series, I know there are a lot of unknowns today, but I think Ricky is going to be able to get to the front. And then my thought recently was, yeah, people will stop hitting him like when Byron got into him, but then Josh Berry hit him under caution. So they're still bumping into Ricky, but he's fighting for this win.
Oh, Chastain had Chase Elliott way up the racetrack.
Here comes Byron trying to take 2nd away from Ricky Stenhouse Jr.
go back to that tire issue with the 8 car. That's a big deal. We talk about points, and he's right there on that cut line. To have those issues this late in the race, can he recover from them? He's all the way back in 32nd.
Yeah, and I don't think it was a tire issue. When he came in, it looked to me that all 4 tires were aired up, but yet the car was sparking on the racetrack. I think there's something bigger wrong with the 8 car. Marty?
Yeah, it was contact on the racetrack. Randall Burnett just told him a moment ago, I think something is wrong with the left rear. Something is either broken or it is loose on the car. So they sent Kyle Busch back out. They could see it was still loose with the left rear. So that's an issue probably from contact on the racetrack. Steve, you think about the last 3 weeks for this race team. They've easily had top 10 speed, and they're going to walk away with 3 bad finishes in a row. That's what they cannot have. And Randall Burnett just told Kyle Busch, take it to the garage. We're done.
Yeah, something mechanically is broken in the back of the car. Day over for the 8.
And the frustration continues for the 2-time champion. William Byron was able to get by the 47 of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. to take that 2nd spot back away. Chase Elliott running a little bit higher line here with Logano down low.
So Blaney leads on 2 tires. William Byron 2nd on 4. Stenhouse on 2. Chase Elliott on 4. Logano on 2. So we'll see 75 laps to go. Do those fresher left side tires pay dividends on the long run?
Ross Chastain back here with Logano and Barry, Suarez, Haley, Bowman all in the top 10. Keselowski running 11. Gilliland and Carson Hocevar 12th and 13th.
Both of those guys got an advantageous caution, but when they got it, they've been able to keep the track position. So you can catch a break, but if you don't have the speed to take advantage of it, it doesn't matter. Both of these guys caught a good break, but they have the speed to maintain it.
Close call there for Gilliland. He and Hocevar have been running inches apart around this short track.
The other thing you have to wonder, you know, we heard some crew chiefs talking to drivers about, hey, take it easy early, right? Don't hurt these tires early in a run on low air pressure. You have to wonder who out there did that. You know, who said, okay, I might not gain a spot or 2, but I'm going to take it easy to make sure I don't hurt a tire. They're not going to advertise that. They don't want their competitors to know what they're doing.
Tell you what, let's go through the field, brought to you by Homes.com, and we'll focus in on champions. Dave?
Let's go all the way back to 2012, Rick, and that was when Brad Keselowski won his lone Cup Series championship. That was quite a night and a big beer at the end of that. Tonight he's had a great run. Right now he's back in the pack a little bit further because he had to take 4 tires to finish off this race. They had taken 2 last time, Marty.
Dave, it's been a fascinating race from a handling standpoint. We've talked about a number of cars who struggle early in runs, but they're so good at the end of the run. What Jeff was just talking about taking care of the tires earlier, Chase Elliott asked Alan Gustafson about that a moment ago.
I look around and I feel like I'm working harder than others, so I'm not sure. Try something different here.
No, not universal, just us, but we seem to have it the worst as a company, so.
And true to form, Kim, the car has gotten much better for Chase. He did a terrific job on this restart. Said the car is much better. The cooler it gets, the better this 9 car seems to be.
Marty, for reigning champ Ryan Blaney, 3 of the last 4 races, they've had finishes of 24 or worse. Despite that, crew chief Jonathan Hassler said they're hitting on all cylinders. They're optimistic, and in fact, they're so optimistic that Ryan has a huge group here. His mom, Lisa, grew up in the area, so he has 80 friends and family from around the area, but even family members who have since moved away from the state flew back to see him. They have camped all weekend long, as you see there. Blaney said if he wins, they're going to have to figure out how to get all 80 people across the track to help him celebrate. Blaney, P1 right now on the track.
He's the reigning champion. Of course he's going to be able to get 80 people across the track into victory lane. We see the 8 making his way out of the garage. He'll try to get back on track, see if they have fixed the issue with that car. As Ryan Blaney has led 134 laps already. Under 60 laps remaining in the Iowa Corn 350 powered by ethanol. Still out front is Ryan Blaney, has about an 0.8 of a second lead over William Byron. And I'm sure if Blaney gets to victory lane, it's something that, Jeff, you'll be talking about on NBC Sports on Sirius XM on Wednesday. That's 9 a.m. Eastern, NASCAR Radio Channel 90, where Jeff Burton, the mayor, will join the morning drive and that crew to discuss this race and look forward to New Hampshire, a race which you're very familiar with, getting to victory lane a couple times there.
Yeah, I always love calling into the show. I encourage the fans to call in, ask tough questions. Don't throw softballs. Give me some hard stuff.
Tough questions.
I like tough questions.
All right. Bell has found his way back up into the top 10 as he's running 10th right now. Michael McDowell throwing that 34 into the turn. Got all the way to the inside of Brad Keselowski. Let's see if he can complete the pass. Still side by side.
It's amazing to me how you can run side by side with such pace. Normally when you get too wide, you just lose ground instantly. Yet, you know, these guys are side by side and the car behind is not running them down. They're not running the car in front of them down or losing ground to it either.
Multiple grooves here at Iowa.
I mean, I think that's exceptionally encouraging. What can be learned from this race? You know, we talked about repaves where it's only one lane. You said it earlier, Steve. Well, what's different here?
Right.
Like, what made it so it came in so quickly? And by the way, North Wilkesboro did the same thing. We had multiple grooves immediately there. So this has been a fun race to watch. How can we apply it to future races?
And listen, we've talked a lot about tires in a negative way, right? A little trouble on Saturday, trouble here today. Maybe that's the tip of the hat. Maybe we need to talk to Goodyear. Remember, Goodyear is here to market their brand. Yet they have taken a huge gamble or risk to try to help the racing.
Yeah.
Softer tires, option tires, all these different things they have done this year that they don't have to. They can bring tires that absolutely last and they're kind of rock hard and nobody loves them. They're not taking that approach. They're being proactive and bringing really, really good race tires. So to your point, Jeff, between Wilkesboro and here, you know, what's the magic mix? Dave.
Catching up with Kyle Busch. He stepped out of the 8 car. Kyle, what started things there? I was hearing suspension and then another issue.
Yeah, I don't know what happened, but next gen parts and pieces broke. So something in the left rear suspension. I don't know if it was a toe link or what it was, but it changed the skew of the back of the car and just undrivable doing that. So came in and fixed it, rolling back out, blew the power steering line off, or the belt, just broke the belt. So I have no idea, but frustrating for sure. Not what we wanted for all of our zone guys, everybody from Quick Trip. Having a pretty decent day. I mean, I thought we had a top 10 run going, and we had an opportunity there to score some points, but not to be.
It went away for him today, guys.
Unfortunate. And again, Kyle, one of those champions still looking for a win in 2024.
Coming off a race last weekend where it looked like he was going to have a good finish and ended up getting wrecked by the one car right in front of us here and late in the race and gave all those points up.
As we ride on ball with Christopher Bell and the Toyota on board, let's take a look at the progressive telemetry, exactly what he's doing behind the wheel and how the car is performing. Jeff, that fresh pavement has really allowed these guys to not use a lot of brake, and actually, I haven't seen a lot of shifting out of these cars. I mean, it's been the year of shifting, yet here at Iowa, no shifting.
Yeah, no shifting because there's so much grip with the new asphalt. The car doesn't slow down enough. You can see Bell getting a big run on Chastain.
Takes that spot away from Chastain, so Bell up to 8th now. And still moving forward. Blaney up front has an 0.8 of a second lead over William Byron. Chase Elliott, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and Logano all top 5. Josh Berry running 6th. Suarez and Bell 7th and 8th. Chastain and Haley 9th and 10th. What's it going to take for William Byron to reel in Blaney?
Well, I think there's a lot of question marks for a lot of cars. 36 lap green flag run, 48 to go. So it wouldn't be the longest green flag run, but if you remember back to what was the longest, there were multiple tire issues before that run did come to an end with wall contact. So that, I think, is the answer to your question, Rick, right? It's Blaney and Byron, but how hard are they pushing? Marty, are you hearing anything with the leaders?
Well, it's under a second for William Byron, and they're pretty convinced they're better than the 12. So how are Rudy Fugle and William Byron shaping up this battle for the win with 47 to go? Listen in.
All match-up lap times here. Bruce Lapper, 10 out the front, been running middle to bottom by himself. He's got a gap of 6 out the front of him to the next one.
12 tighter than you on exit. Get him in traffic here.
So, Jeff, how much information do you want about the car you're chasing down if you're trying to win a race like this, like William Byron now knows? Ryan Blaney, in theory, according to Rudy Fugle, a little bit tighter on exit.
Well, Brandon Lyons, his spotter, and William Byron, they've had a lot of conversations prior to the day about what does he want, right? What information can I provide to you that can help you make a pass or keep from getting past? So he got exactly what he's been asking for in all their meetings, all their preparation. The other thing I think is important is that, remember, Blaney has 2 tires and Byron has 4. And that didn't make much difference taking off, but later in this run, as they get further and further into it, will it start to matter?
Here's Bell, and close call for him.
Wow. That is, watch his hands. Whoa. I mean, he's turned to the right. I mean, that is a great save. It shows you how on edge the cars are, right? These cars are very difficult to drive. He's trying to get every 1/10 of a second out of that car. Just a little bit too much entry speed, and around that thing went.
And as quickly as he turned to the right and then caught it, was straight back out, he took his hand off the wheel and was driving with one hand. I mean,
they're not normal.
It's so casual for these guys to be so good.
And you see on the left-hand side the mix of tires in the field. Those 2 tires still holding on near the front. Still 42 to go, though.
With under 42 to go, Blaney on 2 fresh tires on that last stop. Out in front, William Byron, 4 fresh tires. Can he reel him in? As NBC is back, I want to remind you of the NASCAR America post-race show, Progressive NASCAR America post-race show. We will break down what has happened here at Iowa Speedway. Again, the first ever running of the Cup Series at this racetrack. And it's been many years since it was 1956, the last time a Cup Series race was run in the Midwest, which was Soldier Field back in 1956. So it's been a long time coming for fans in this area to catch some great short track racing for the Cup Series. As we see Alex Bowman trying to catch up to that one of Ross Chastain as the laps continue to wind down. Eric Jones with an issue here entering one.
Yeah, he entered the corner really high, had his right side, right rear tire kind of out of the groove right in front of the leader, Blaney.
Ross up the racetrack. That was just moments ago.
Cars are starting to lose grip. Even though the pace hasn't come off all that much, they're not as forgivable. If you ask something of your car, it doesn't have as much side grip to lean on it. We're starting to see drivers later in the run make some mistakes.
Ricky did a nice job of kind of talking about the history of Iowa Speedway. I know this is the first Cup race here, but so many different Xfinity races here, and it's kind of a who's who of who has won those Xfinity races over the years. They all have turned into Cup drivers. Probably no bigger of a win than was for Ryan Preece, Kim.
That's right. Ryan Preece winning in the Xfinity Series in 2017, and he talked about how that win impacted his life. He said, Iowa changed my life. Before that, he had a couple of rides here and there, just a part-time situation. He was living in an apartment in Connecticut. That win opened the doors for him. He was able to move to North Carolina and get a full-time ride with a very good team. So we joke about Iowa and the field of dreams, but for Ryan Preece, it really was. It helped him continue the dream of being in the Cup Series at one point in his career.
It's those moments that happen in a driver's career that really turn things around.
Yeah, he also is caught up in that Stewart-Haas racing mix-up where they're selling out. He also is looking for a ride. So a lot of drivers trying to figure out what they're doing next year. It's going to be a crazy, silly season.
10 career wins, none of them this season, with Ryan Blaney up front, but he has led a career high number of laps tonight at 172 out front. His last win coming last year at Martinsville. It's been 17 races since he's been to victory lane.
I really think it's kind of time. Jeff, you mentioned about how the lap times haven't changed, but the forgiveness has gone away, and they're right on the edge. Now they're right on the edge, and they have to push more. We just saw this after the 12 of Blaney. He feels those second and third place catching him. He's trying to roll to the outside of this 42. Man, slides those rear tires. Now that takes a little bit of love out of those rear tires, a little bit of life.
See Chase Elliott trying to run down William Byron. And what they need is a little bit of traffic to hold up Blaney, and he is in it. There it is right there. That is, you can see the 12 car moving around.
Ty Gibbs in the 54 is the last car on the lead lap, so he doesn't want to give up this spot.
Well, that couldn't have worked out much better for Blaney. Ty got in there and couldn't hold the bottom of the racetrack. That opened the bottom up, gave Blaney clean air. Let's see if the guys behind him can get through as quickly.
Well, remember that 9 car. Marty's been reporting all day that Alan Gustafson asked Chase to take it a little easy for the first couple laps. I don't know exactly what that allowed them to do in the setup. Maybe a little bit lower air pressure, maybe a little bit more camber, but the 9 car is definitely paying dividends longer into the run.
Is there enough time for the 9 or the 24 to catch the 12? 0.8 of a second has been the gap as C. Bell makes it by Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and takes the 4th spot away. Remember, Christopher Bell in a backup car had to start at the back of this field and has been able to fight his way back up now inside the top 5. Blaney with 23 to go. A little bit of lap traffic coming into play now as William Byron trying to get by Austin Dillon. Blaney, the first champion under this new format to not have to win the race to win the championship. See the right front down on Michael McDowell.
Rick, they had a right front down earlier today, and McDowell did a terrific job. Travis Peterson as well, getting him back close to the top 10. Another right front down for this 34 team. Steve, does that make you a little bit worried about how long this run is going now?
Well, it makes you worried, but there's nothing you're going to do about it at this point. 22 laps to go. You can make it on fuel. It's hard to coach your driver down. It's one thing to control his pace all day long because there's another caution or another pit stop coming, but none of that's guaranteed at this point. At this point, you really have to push for what it's worth. With 21 to go, get all of those positions.
McDowell back on the racetrack, just behind race leader Blaney. Harrison Burton, the next one on the lead lap, that's looking in his mirror and seeing Blaney come up. Under 20 laps to go now.
Harrison, as a fellow Penske Ford, is going to have a nice wide entry and let the 12 go through, just like you would expect. And that puts 3 lap cars between the 24 and the 12. Now, the one advantage is the 34 is moving forward just off from pit road.
We'll see if he's able to stay pace with the 12 of Blaney. Light shining down on this 7/8 mile oval. Byron able to get by Harrison Burton. Blaney's put on a clinic here today. We mentioned leading the most laps of his career, 183 and counting.
He's done a great job getting through the lap traffic. He's actually lengthened his lead a little bit.
Over a second the gap, as now he has McDowell pressuring him. I'm sure his crew is telling him that he's on fresher tires. He's down multiple laps.
The key is to not lose pace. Let the 34 go, but still drive hard. See the 24, he's just didn't get through traffic as well as Blaney did.
No, it's like they can match lap times, but Blaney, to your point, Jeff, can kind of do it in either lane, so he can go where the lap cars aren't. When the 24 gets pinned to the bottom, he definitely loses a little lap time relative to the 12. Like in this situation, he chases the lap car into the high lane like he doesn't want to be on the bottom. Now the issue for the 12 is when you look out the front stretch, you know, you have the 34 going forward, but there's a couple cars in front of him. You have the 23 and the 10 who are racing and racing tough for position. 16th and 17th. They're not going to want to just let the leader go through. So with 15 to go, this is going to be a real mess for the 12 to work through right here.
And think about all the family members that are here. We heard Kim mention 80 plus family members in attendance at this race tonight. Reigning champion Ryan Blaney out in front has a 1.2 second lead with under 14 laps to go. On their edge of the seats.
So Blaney lost 2/10 of a second right there. This is for this late in the race. You really want to fight hard to stay in the lead lap. That's what these two are going to do, and that could hold this 2 up.
And you see at the bottom of this thing on the left side, you have some guys with over 100 laps on their tires because they waved around. That's your big concern for potential yellow, is you have cars that are out there in much older tires.
So there you go. He got by Bubba Wallace pretty easily. Byron closed the gap by about 3/10 of a second through all that.
He's coming. Noah Gragson, the next car that Blaney's trying to get by to put a lap down. Blaney all the way to the bottom of the racetrack. Byron running that same line. Blaney still just now clearing Gragson.
And so Blaney, I'm sorry, 24 Byron closed the gap, but now he's got to go through the same process.
Will they be as difficult with him because he wasn't the race leader to put them a lap down.
I thought they were really respectful of Blaney, so I don't know that they could be a lot more respectful.
I didn't think they were difficult to the leader.
It's still 0.7 of a second, under 10 laps to go in Iowa.
And pretty clear track in front of Blaney now. Just one car, the 11 of Hamlin.
Remember a few weeks ago, Blaney looked like he had a race won, and he ran out of fuel in the last lap, so anything can happen.
Well, and I will bring up, while he's well inside his pit window, the last time he pitted, they only took 2 tires. So, you know, maybe they could be closer on fuel than we think. I don't believe so. I think they can make it no problem.
8 laps to go in Iowa. And the prestige of winning the first ever Cup race at Iowa Speedway hanging out in front of Blaney, William Byron, Chase Elliott, top 3 drivers.
Well, those 80 friends and family that are in attendance, there are some beer coolers that are shaking in fear right now.
Yes, they do
7
not.
laps to go.
They don't want to be too confident.
There they are. Look at them all with the Blaney shirts on.
Yep,
Blaney,
Team Blaney t-shirts.
Listen, they were watching a few weeks ago too when he ran out on a lap to go, so they're not taking this for granted.
But they weren't right there. They weren't in the stands waiting to be able to potentially celebrate in victory lane. Under 6 laps to go for Blaney now. I see a lot of people putting their hands up to their face in that group. The nerves. And now, William Byron.
Tell you what, Williams cut into this lead last few laps.
William Byron at 0.6 of a second, under 5 laps to go, as Blaney's been able to clear the lap traffic. And so has Byron. But here comes William Byron. Now 4 laps to go.
Blaney picked his speed up that lap.
Byron's got to get by the 19 of Martin Truex Jr. He clears him. Blaney sees 3 to go.
Well, I was going to say, Blaney now needs to really focus out the window. I don't think the 24 is close enough to defend yet. This would be a mistake now. There are such on the razor's edge with this new pavement. You just can't overcook the entry and get up out of the groove.
Now just 2 laps to go for Blaney, and you see the family up on their feet cheering. The reigning Cup Series champion will now see the white flag. It's 1 lap to go. Presented by Credit One Bank. The 30-year-old from High Point, North Carolina, has been winless in 2024. He's shown speed. He's shown dominance at other racetracks. And now he's showing that he can get to victory lane at Iowa Speedway. He's the first Cup winner. Ryan Blaney wins in Iowa.
Awesome, man. Awesome job, guys. Way to stick with it all night, man. Great bounce back from Gateway. Super proud of everybody, man. Congratulations. Here's to many more, fellas. Thank you. Good job, brother. Proud of you. Talking about being a team in the summer. We did it. Good job, boys.
And a proud dad in Dave Blaney. We'll see his son go to victory lane. All right, are they going to be able to get 80 people to victory lane? How do you get them over across the street?
I'd say if they have a great t-shirt on, let them through. I bet he knows where they're at. I think this burnout's going to be a little further down on the front stretch than normal. He knows where that crowd is down in turn 1. Blaney's not one to do many burnouts, so we'll have to see if he does one here or not.
You called it.
Still no burnout. This is his move.
Yeah.
He said, you know, that he was taught a long time ago to not abuse the car. Dale Inman told him, right? The car just did what it was supposed to do, so nice salute to the fans.
Dale, if Dale Inman tells you to do something, legendary crew chief, you definitely do it.
You do it. Well, there's 10 winners now this season with still 9 races to go. Well, maybe he didn't listen to Dale Inman.
Blame it on the family.
And he parks it right on the corn at the finish line. All smiles for Blaney now. And Marty, let's hear from the first ever Cup winner in Iowa.
How about that, Rick? That's one they can't take away. The first ever Cup Series win. His mom, Lisa, from just down the road near Des Moines. And this kind of erases the fuel disappointment from Gateway a couple of weeks ago. Today, no disappointment for Ryan Blaney, Team Penske. He's going to climb out. Welcome to the playoffs, Ryan Blaney. Going to go get the checkered flag and find a young fan to be able to hand that to. He's scouting that out right now. And I would say with all the friends and family here, he's going to maybe ask for a couple replicas of this one. There you go, Ryan. 80 friends and family are here. Did this one mean a little bit more?
Yeah, definitely. Oh, man, I mean, what a cool way to win here. This place is a lot, means a lot to me, means a lot to my mom. And yeah, we had a lot of people here tonight cheering us on, so they willed us to that one. So overall, really appreciate the whole 12 boys. I mean, our car was really fast all night, and we got a little bit better through the night. And 2 tires was a good call there. I didn't know how well I was going to hold on. I kind of started to struggle a little bit at the end, but had enough to hang on. So super proud of the effort. Appreciate Advanced Auto Parts, Ford Performance, Menards, Discount Tire Worth, Snap-on, Dex Imaging, Wabash, everything they do makes up a little bit from a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, so we were watching your friends and family on those final few laps and them cheering you on. How's this going to work, Ryan? Are all 80 coming to victory lane?
I hope so. I don't know. We'll see, but I'm looking forward to seeing them. It's always good to have family, and I've been super lucky to have family that support me, through my career, and it's great that they're, still support me just as much as they did day one. So also want to appreciate the sold-out crowd. You guys were cool weekend, man. Really cool to win the first Cup race here. I can't wait we come back with many more years.
So special it deserved a burnout. That's only the second time I've seen you do a burnout, Ryan.
Yeah, home track, I got to. Means a lot. I've won, I mean, it's cool to win a truck here, Xfinity car here, now Cup car. That was cool. Gosh, I'm worn out. It was a long race and driving hard, and yeah, I figured I deserved to burn out, so hopefully Dale Inman isn't too mad at me.
How about that, Iowa race fans? The driver with the hometown connection right here in Iowa, Ryan Blaney, gets to victory lane.
Very cool of him to acknowledge the fans here all weekend long. They have packed the place, and they saw another great race here at Iowa Speedway. This time, it's the first time for the Cup Series. There's all the family celebrating the first ever Cup Series race win at Iowa Speedway. The team will celebrate. Ryan Blaney, very rare burnout. Even acknowledged Dale Inman will accept this one. With family ties to Iowa, Ryan Blaney gets the win.
This copyrighted telecast may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or used in any form without the authorized written consent of NASCAR Broadcasting. NASCAR would like to thank all of our fans for your support, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast.